Good afternoon from Essex County, Mike Shepard Senior Field here in South Orange, New Jersey. We got Big East softball coming your way between the Creighton Blue Jays and the Seton Hall Pirates. My name is Manny Pereira. Next to me is Ross Vacaturo. It's the home opener for the Pirates against Creighton. What do we got in store today from Seton Hall?
Yeah, Manny, you got the Pirates coming off a clean sweep down in South Carolina at the Paladin Invitational, looking to make a statement not only back on home turf here at South Orange, but kicking off Big East Conference play against the foe. Creighton made a big run last year and looking to make a statement here, getting conference play underway.
The Hall coming into this game at 6 wins and 7 losses. Creighton has played a little bit more softball, hasn't really gone their way this year.
Absolutely, a little bit of a tough start to their run. As I said before, got all the way to the championship matchup in last year's Big East tournament. Currently 6-14 at the moment. Their debut in conference play as well, and they got their most trusted arm on the mound in Gilman.
Blue Jays coming into the year ranked second in the Big East poll. You see their leadoff hitter, Avery Bernard, who is the right fielder today. Batting second behind her is Zoe Greenwood, playing left field. Their catcher, Lily West, in charge of the 3 spot. In the 4-hole, Kaylin Schultz, the first baseman. Designated player is Keegan Mayhew, Tora Vanwater, second baseman, and the third baseman, Erica Perez, with Ella Dalton playing center field. As first pitch is in the zone for a strike. Then to finish things off in the lineup is Ashton Pearson, the shortstop. So good start here for the starting pitcher, Wakely, for the Pirates. Already ahead in her first at-bat. Second one is a flare over to right field, foul.
Wakely, one of the few southpaws you'll see in collegiate softball, kind of few and far between as you look throughout the conference. She's been one of the Pirates' more trusted arms, and they're giving her a big assignment here today with the conference opener.
Wakely throws a changeup, a backdoor curveball, and a screwball. So a lot of soft stuff coming in from the left side. Knows how to get crafty around the plate. And there's the heater, a little bit off the plate.
Meanwhile, you have Bernard for the Blue Jays. Leads the team in batting average, sitting at a .345 average at the moment.
Here comes the 1-2. That one lined in the left field, right to the left fielder, out number 1 in this first part of the first inning, first half of the first inning. Schumann coming in with a .691 ERA and 26 1/3 innings pitched. Wakely has thrown 21 2/3 innings pitched. She's 2-2 on the year. This is her 13th appearance and 4th start. That one inside does not get the call.
Noticing here, Blue Jays seem to be aggressive with the swings. Saw Bernard swing on majority of pitches in her at-bat. Let's see if that remains the case.
So the left fielder, Zoe Greenwood, at the plate, gets ahead 2-0. So Schumann has a 2.4 whip, which is walks and hits per inning, which is not really a favorable stat. And that's kind of what's gotten her in trouble, is getting way too many runners on base, getting behind in counts. That's why her ERA is what it is. But the talent is not lacking, as she's kind of nibbling around the plate here against Greenwood, down 3-0 now.
And like I said, too, you look down the line collegiately, you're not going to see as many southpaws as you see even in collegiate baseball, but in general. So she's kind of the advantage the Pirates have on the mound today.
The 3-0 in there for strike 1.
Just able to paint the inside corner there, remain in this at-bat.
Zoe Greenwood, a freshman, hitting at a .323 clip and an .816 OPS. She's got a homer and 6 extra base hits on the year. In a favorable count here, the 3-1 is grounded foul.
The lone freshman in today's starting lineup for the Blue Jays. She's got a homer, 9 RBIs on the year, hailing from New Boston, Texas.
A little bit of a change from Texas to Nebraska. That's a weather shocker right there. Like tough winters up there in Omaha. The 3-2 on its way. That one is going to be in the gap, extra bases for Greenwood. Rounds first. Gets to second, she'll stand up with a double. Zoe Greenwood with her 7th extra base hit on the year. Creighton now in business.
Yeah, great job by Greenwood there, able to maintain the inside part of the zone there, find the opposite gap in the outfield, able to get herself a two-bagger, as you said, Manny, her 7th extra base hit of the year, and she's been one of the go-to specialists in terms of extra base hits for this Creighton lineup.
Really a textbook at bat there. Doesn't panic after Wakely got it back to 3-2. Sits back on that pitch, sends it into the left center gap. That one right down the middle for strike number 1. At the plate for the Creighton Blue Jays is Lily West, the catcher from Oklahoma. She's been excellent at getting on base. .414 on base percentage. Hasn't really slugged much this year, but she knows how to put up a good at-bat.
Looked like Greenwood thought about third there, but nothing going on the play.
I think this is a good matchup for the senior West. Obviously, Wakely has some trouble getting pitches in the zone consistently, and you know that West is not going to do her any favors. That one line foul. Look out.
We spoke to the Blue Jays head coach prior to the game, Krista Wood. She was adamant about, certain games where the pitching's up to par, but the hitting not so much, and vice versa seems to be what's cost them a lot of games here early on. If you're the Blue Jays, you have to be zeroed in on getting out to this early lead with a runner in scoring position early on.
Here comes the 1-2. Wakely outside. Great pitch there on 1-2. Doesn't get the call. We're even at 2-2 now. And for Creighton, coming into this game, 6-14, obviously not the start they were hoping for, but they have a chance to really wipe everything. The start of conference play, they went 15-9 in the Big East, and they can end this series feeling very good about themselves if they succeed. And that one is not, or it is caught on the line. They'll say that the shortstop was able to get it before the short hop, so that's out number 2 of the inning.
Great.
Nice play there from Perez.
Yeah, great grab there from Perez. Maybe could have thought about letting it or playing it off the bounce, but pretty much a no play with Greenwood already being on second base.
No need there without a force. So 2 outs in the inning now. That pitch is going to get the call. Strike number 1. Kaylin Schultz, the first baseman, at the plate for the Blue Jays. She's hitting .322 on the year with a .559 slugging. So a good opportunity here to put the Blue Jays on the board with 2 outs. Wakely, the 0-1. That one in there for strike number 2. Off-speed pitch gets the call. And now she's in the driver's seat. The 0-2. That one off the plate, good pitch there from Wakely. Pretty much the same pitch, just tried to go a little bit more off the plate than the one before.
Yeah, just missed the outside corner, but like the aggressiveness, they're trying to dot the outside corners of the zone on a potential backwards K.
See what she goes with here. The 1-2 on its way. That one in the dirt. Good job there from the senior, Aaron Howard, to keep it in front of her. 2-2 now. A chance here for Schultz. After being down 0-2, base hit should put the Blue Jays in front. Here's Wakely. That one up.
And you brought up Manny, too. We saw her on the 0-2 pitch, Wakely, that is. Barely missed the zone, and now you got back-to-back pitches, her bouncing one in the dirt and then a little high up upon the zone. Gotta hope she can relocate the corners of the zone here on a 2-2.
Tried to change the eye levels there. Would have probably wanted to have seen that pitch on 1 and 2. Wasn't biting on the 2-2. That one does not get the inside corner. So a walk after Wakely had Schultz down 0-2. She gives the free pass. And all of a sudden, the Blue Jays got 2 runners on with Keegan Mayhew, the designated player, at the plate.
And that's going to be key. Goes without saying for the Blue Jays. Got to be able to work counts. You have Greenwood on second, was up 3-0 in her count, wound up getting on with the base knock, and now you have Schultz on via the walk when she was down 0-2 at one point.
First pitch to Mayhew. That one in there for strike one. Mayhew, a freshman, has a .610 slugging percentage this year, so you know she's got some pop in that bat. Down in the count here, 0-1. That one, line, fly ball, deep left field, and that's off the wall. 1 run scores for the Blue Jays, and a long single for Keegan Mayhew puts the Blue Jays up 1-0.
Her team leading now 16th RBI on the year. As you brought up, Manny, her phenomenal slash line. As you said, a long signal there, but gets the run in nonetheless. And like we've been saying, Manny, if you're the Blue Jays, you had to be zeroed in on getting out to this early lead, not squandering this early opportunity that the Pirates gave you, and they did just that on the base hit.
Yeah, and the issue for Wakely has not been getting ahead. It's been staying ahead. See her getting ahead of a few batters, even in the last two, where she gave up a walk and now the RBI single. But she's been nibbling around the plate far too much. And it's gotten her in trouble a little bit. It's not like she's been making bad pitches. Creighton has really had some excellent at-bats.
No, definitely. She's been able to locate. She's been mixing through her repertoire here early on. Just what kind of lost control on the location in the at-bat with Schultz.
Trying to get out of the jam here with 2 outs. The pitch. A little bit off the plate, probably up there. For the Blue Jays, it's Tara Vandwater, the second baseman. Here comes the 1-0. Wakely in the dirt. That's ball number 2. Seton Hall defense has the force out at second. Just trying to get an out here, get out of this inning. See if Wakely can generate some soft contact. The 2-0. That one, ball number 3.
Wakely seems to be all over the place with that bat. And if you notice too many, all the balls in play so far have been driven to the left side of the field. Not so necessarily driven. You did have the opposite field hit from Greenwood. Got her on second early on. Wound up coming in to score. And like you said, you have the force out at second.
The 3-0 in there for strike number 1. Vandwater, a second baseman. She's one-dotting it right now. 1.008 OPS with a 615 slugging, getting on base at a 393 clip. Not the offensive numbers you'd expect from your typical middle infielder.
She's been phenomenal for him, no less in the 6-hole currently in the lineup.
The 3-1. That one off the plate low. So now bases are juiced. Wakely will try to get out of this jam. Coming into at the plate, is number 12, Erica Perez, the third baseman for the Creighton Blue Jays. And here's a mound visit as Seton Hall will choose to talk things over.
I think if you're Coach Churchill and company, you just got to get in Wakely's ear and say, listen, we saw early on she was painting the corners.
Yep.
Outside, inside. Now all of a sudden it seems like she lost it a little bit, but you got to keep her head in the game. It's still only a 1-0 ball game. You're sitting at 2 outs. Yeah, like you said, man, you get a soft grounder or anything for that matter, and you're out of this inning, scot-free pretty much. 1-0 lead is not the end of the world, but you got to stop the damage at that.
Erica Perez, sophomore, with an 899 OPS for Creighton. First pitch of the at-bat is in there right down the middle for strike number 1. And this Creighton lineup, it's hard to catch breaks here. The issue for them has not been the bats. They've gotten in trouble because of their lack of pitching and defense. So Wakely's got her hands full. Here's the 0-1. That one going the other way. Fly ball is not caught after the dive.
She just missed it. Just got underneath it.
So Katie Brennan almost making it to Sports Center to send Seton Hall back to the dugout. Instead, Wakely will go back on the rubber for the 0-2.
I thought she even had a play on the long single from Schultz for a second. I went from thinking it was long gone to being caught to wind up being the long single, like you said.
Yeah, fence in left field kept it in. And that one way off the plate. Not a terrible idea. We'll see how Wakely tries to follow that pitch up. Maybe set up a change up here. Down and in. See if she gets a chase. The 1-2 coming. And she went back towards the top of the zone. Just way off the plate. So Erica Perez now has the count even at 2-2. California native. Just a sophomore. Putting up big numbers. Here's Wakely. Went back towards the top. So 3-2 now. Wakely with 3 straight heaters will now try to get the third out of the inning here. 3-2, 2 outs, bases juiced. Wakely grounded off her glove to the shortstop. Throw on the first is not in time. A little bit of a defensive miscue there from Seton Hall as Sophia DeMarco couldn't find the bag. And a disastrous play after Seton Hall seemed to have gotten bailed out. Perez was able to field it after the ricochet. And you see the replay there, no tag from DeMarco. At least it doesn't seem so. It didn't look like it from the press box. Slow-mo, no, not even close.
That's definitely one you're going to want back just because you felt like you had the opportunistic.
And that one lined way out of play. That ball was crushed from number 13, Ella Dalton, the senior, who's kind of struggled offensively this year.
Just on our last play, too, one last thing. Heads-up play by Andrea Perez. Knew she didn't have the play at second. Just kind of the errant throw at first, not able to get the tag on DeMarco's part. That one's going to sting for sure.
Here comes the 0-1. Fly ball towards the left side of the infield. It's caught from the shortstop, Perez. So that'll end the first half of the inning as Creighton strikes first. They're up 2-0. We'll be right back. So we're back here coming into the bottom of the first. Seton Hall looking to strike back after the Blue Jays scored 2 runs on 3 hits. So on the mound for the Blue Jays is Audrey Gilman, who's got an ERA a little bit over 4. She's really carried the staff, over 60 innings pitched. Looking to do some damage here for the Blue Jays as she gets ahead 0-1.
And similar to the Blue Jays, if you're the Pirates here, you want to set the tone early. Nobody better at the plate to do so than Angelina Benitez, the sophomore Big East Player of the Week.
Yeah, she was awesome over at Carolina. 524 batting average with 9 RBIs at the Paladin Invitational. She's looking to keep the bat hot here. 1-1 count. That one grounded right up the middle. Past the diving shortstop, base hit for Angelina Benitez, who's going to get that average up. Came into this game with a 426 batting average.
good for 5th in the Big East, and that's kind of her MO. Hit it where they ain't. You know, she found open ground up the middle, and the most reliable contact bat in the lineup for the Pirates, looking to get some offense going here early on.
So Katie Brennan now, the left fielder, will step into the plate with a runner on. And you know Benitez, just a sophomore, but she offers a huge threat with her legs. That's why you saw the infield playing so in. And all she's got to do is make some contact, find the hole. Led to a base hit, breaking ball to Brennan in there for a strike. And you see why Gilman has such good numbers and why she throws so many innings for this Creighton squad. That breaking ball is excellent. 1-1 count. Foul.
Brennan doesn't have a homer on the year, still has solid pop, slugging .447 at the moment, .887 OPS. Has pretty much been a mainstay in the 2-hole for the Pirates this year.
No doubt. That one off the plate. Gilman did not get the call on the 1-2, so we're even at 2-2. And if you're Seton Hall, you kind of just want to keep this game close. Hopefully Wakely puts up a few zeros and you can wake up the bats. That one off the plate because you have Krusher, who's most likely going to come into this game, especially if it stays close towards the latter part. We talked to Coach Churchill. She's been excellent in the closer role for the Pirates. Throws so hard. 3-2. Grounded to the second baseman. She'll try the tag for one. Doesn't get it. Safe at first. Everybody's safe for the Pirates. And a few defensive miscues on both sides in the infield.
Yeah, extra effort there by Brennan, avoiding the tag. Wonder if they're going to review it here.
Saw the replay there, very close.
The tag, the tag attempt on Benitez, very similar to the play we saw in the top half of the inning at first. Looks like she missed her by a matter of inches on her backside.
And you can ill afford to kind of hesitate there if you're Creighton, with Brennan and Benitez running the bases so hard to get to. So you want to guarantee one, and you want to have that decision made in your mind by the time you field the ball, because that little hesitation, the tag attempt, gave Brennan a few steps. So they're going to review it here. So either way, Creighton's got a shot here to come out of that with an out. But Seton Hall making some soft contact, trying to make things happen in this ball game. Usually they say when you put the ball in play, good things happen.
100%. And kind of your point too, Manny, with Benitez's speed, this plays not even a conversation if she doesn't beat out that tag, and then obviously Brennan at the same time at the play at first. Kind of that added 1-2 punch. It's why they really haven't changed the top half of the order all season.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, it would have been so hard to get the force out at second because the ball was hit very softly from Brennan. And she was thinking single the whole way. She put her head straight down, sprinted over to first.
It feels like that added hesitation. That's why if we look at the play in the top half, you had Andrea Perez. Now that the errant throw kind of canceled it out, wound up getting on base regardless. But the effort of Andrea Perez to not even think about making the play at second where she didn't have a play in the first place, just get the ball over to first. Now the throw was a little off, but you're right, Manny. The added second of hesitation is a matter of in play or out.
Especially in softball, where the bases are a lot closer than in baseball, you have to be very decisive in the infield. I'd actually argue Perez wasn't really at fault there. DeMarco wasn't able to find the bag. It felt like a lot of people in the infield were in no man's land. Second baseman Hobbs didn't go straight to the bag. I think they probably thought that Wakely was going to be able to feel that, or that it was going to get through because it was hit so hard.
Wakely actually deflected it, right?
Yeah.
That was actually different from this play, given the fact that it was a soft contact. He kind of had less time to operate on it. But the fact that Wakely had deflected it pretty much right to Perez.
So the call will stand. Brennan is safe. And if you think of the situation earlier, just to finish this point with the play for Seton Hall, so they were also looking at the tag, and it did not. She did not get the tag over the Creighton second baseman, but early on with the Seton Hall play, DeMarco wasn't at the bat because she was going in for the cutoff.
Right.
There was runner in scoring position, so it was just kind of a tricky situation, all things considered. Either way, we're back to softball. Now at the plate, Christina Jinex, the three-hole hitter freshman, is quickly down 0-1 as Gilman finds the zone.
Christina is the youngest of 4 siblings, dominated her high school career, third-team All-State as a freshman, second team as a sophomore and junior, first-team All-State in her senior year at Donovan Catholic.
And don't be fooled by her lack of success so far in her college career. She's got a ton of talent, and Churchill trusts her. She's going to keep her there in that 3 spot. Try to see if she can get things going. Breaking ball in there for a strike. Beautiful spot there on the front door. 1-2 now as Gilman trying to take the freshman to school.
She's proved she got a knack for the clutch hitting, too. Had that ultimate grand slam down in the game against West Georgia.
1-2, foul right back to us, but there's a net there.
Thank God for
I
that
was ready,
net.
Ross. If that goes through the window, I'm making a play.
We had the net, we had the window, and we had you, too.
Yeah. So Jinex trying to keep that momentum going, and for a young player, having a swing in a moment like that can do a lot of good things and spark things going forward. But she's way ahead of the breaking ball. Goes down on strikes. So Jinex strikes out on the breaking ball in the dirt.
Yeah, it was just
go ahead. Sorry.
No, my fault. Phenomenal pitch by Gilman. Just not much you could do there.
Yeah, that was a great at-bat. I mean, from Jinex, obviously, to go get ahead on 1-1 with that front door breaking ball, excellent spot. And then just go back to it just way lower, see if she bites, and the freshman indeed bit. Well, this girl's not a freshman at the plate. Sophia DeMarco, a senior, who's been raking this year, 600 slugging percentage, OPS at 972. She's going to try to get a few runs back here for the Pirates. And that one in there for a strike.
Speaking of grand slams, had one of her own down in South Carolina. It's like we said pregame, Manny. It's the team of grand slams.
Yeah.
And that's where we just saw that offensive explosion down at the Paladin for the lineup.
And you want to see that trend really continue if you're Coach Churchill and company. So 2-1 now. And Gilman really hammering the inside corner so far in this game.
Absolutely. Kind of flirting with a potential hit by pitch, but to this point, she's been able to avoid that.
Way ahead is DeMarco. 2-2 now.
Another inside pitch there to your point. Got DeMarco to offer at it.
Good change of speed there as well. DeMarco was sure she was going to get a heater at 2-1. Instead, Gilman had her fooled. Now 3-2. Good pitch there from Gilman, trying to change the eye levels. And she's showcased some really good stuff so far in this game. We're full. 1 out. DeMarco grounds it foul.
Just gets a piece of it there to stay alive. And, you know, Manny, like we said in the top half of the inning, you have multiple runners on early on in this game. You're already down. You know, at least for Creighton, you were kind of looking at a 0-all ball game. Now that you're down early on, this is as good of an opportunity as you're going to get to make up for those early blemishes.
No doubt. The 3-2. That one lined in the left field base hit. They'll stay put. Station to station goes the Seton Hall Pirates. Bases are loaded now after DeMarco gets the single.
Probably nobody you want more at the plate right now than the sophomore Naya Martinez.
So a mound visit here for Creighton. Benitez, obviously we mentioned her speed, but that ball was hit way too hard for her to even think about going home. And that's 2 times where, well, first for Creighton in the first half of the inning, that ball was lined so hard that she could not get to second, and now obviously DeMarco hit it a little bit too hard, which didn't set up the RBI opportunity for the Hall.
Absolutely, she drilled that. You have Benitez rounding third. I believe she thought about it for a split second and realized play it safe. You got your best hitter currently in the lineup about to take the plate. Figure why take the chance here early on. You want to talk about one dots on the OPS, Manny.
Oh my gosh, yeah, this girl's out of her mind lately. Naya Martinez, sophomore utility star for Seton Hall, who's played a big role later on in this season. Quickly down 0-1. We spoke to Coach Churchill about her. She's kind of been a revelation for the Seton Hall squad after getting her opportunity. Never looked back. She talked about how good of an athlete she is as well defensively. She can put her anywhere.
She played all over the field. High school, started her freshman year at second, played her final 3 years at short, now in the outfield for today's game. And like you said, Manny, just a pure utility player. That's a coach's dream, being able to play you anywhere and everywhere.
Especially when you can hit the way she's been hitting.
100%.
So Gilman went back to that up and away heater. This time Martinez wasn't biting. She's down 1-2. Has got an opportunity here to potentially tie this game with a base hit. The pitch, fouled back. So Martinez battling. Gilman throwing nothing but hard stuff in this at-bat.
100%. There's another one there drilled back to the netting. And like you said, Manny, kind of a variation. We saw her kind of go more so for the breaking stuff with some of the prior at-bats going full heater here to Martinez.
The 1-2, 1 out. Bases loaded. Martinez able to hold off on that one. Benitez took a solid lead there.
Great play by the senior West behind the dish there, keeping it in front of her.
And obviously the Seton Hall team very aggressive on the bases. Benitez at third. Brennan stands at second. DeMarco at first with Martinez at the plate. The 2-2. That one. Fly ball. Deep center field. Benitez should be tagging here at the warning track. Everyone's going to tag except DeMarco at first. And a sacrifice fly for Naya Martinez after being down 0-2. Very quality at bat for her. Puts the Seton Hall Pirates on the board.
100%. The epitome of a productive out, working the count, like you said, Manny, behind in the count initially, being able to work yourself back into it, and hitting as essentially in this ballpark as far as an out as you could possibly hit, able to get Benitez in to score.
Excellent two-strike approach there from Martinez, able to handle the heater there. Not much of a load, sends it to the gap.
Opposite field as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Just not enough on it. You'd think if she had a little bit more of a load, that one would have been way out of here. But textbook at bat there from Martinez, who's just a sophomore. Really incredible from her. That one off the plate. So now, at the plate for the Seton Hall Pirates is the senior catcher, Aaron Howard. Hasn't had much success offensively thus far, but has got a chance to put the Pirates up, and she will. Tie game now, 2-2. Is the score after Howard gets the single. And rounding third is DeMarco. She'll score easily. And there you go, Aaron Howard with 2 stakes after the double.
What an approach by Howard there. Like you just said, Manny, not necessarily the best offensive numbers in the world. Only coming in batting 133 and didn't think twice about offering it that one. Sends it to the gap. Like you said, Manny, slow roller on that one. Who knows if that one had a little bit more juice. Maybe you only would have had the equalizer, able to get DeMarco to score from first and get the go-ahead, tying and go-ahead RBIs on that hit.
No doubt about it. DeMarco scoring from first. There. Showing off the wheels.
Some added speed from the first baseman.
Why not? So a lot of offense thus far. Seton Hall with a chance to extend their lead at the plate is number 14, Caroline Hobbs, the second baseman. So Aaron Howard came into this game hitting 4 for 30. And against such a pitcher like Gilman and an opportunity like that one, you don't want to see, especially your veteran players, get in their heads.
100% veteran presence. And she was phenomenal behind the dish in the top half of the inning as well.
Showed a lot of decisiveness there on that swing. Put her team up. And we talked to Coach Churchill. She said that they kind of loosened up after being 1-7. They went on a very long losing streak, a 7-game losing streak actually. Now they're on a 5-game heater. And she said a lot of it was mental. They've really been enjoying the game a lot more. and it's been showing on the field. A walk there from Hobbs. Now the number 8 hitter, Andrea Perez, steps into the plate, the shortstop.
I think for Coach Churchill, too, when you see her assemble a lineup, the lineup that she's pretty much rocked with the far majority of this season, you have in the 3-hole Christina Ginex, the freshman, the 4-hole DeMarco, the sophomore, the 5-hole Nia Martinez, the sophomore, and then you have 3 seniors in a row batting 6th, 7th, and 8th. Kind of a mix of that young blood and some of your more explosive pop at the dish, and then kind of your mainstays, like we said with Howard. Not necessarily the best numbers in the world, but you know this isn't her first rodeo. She's got the veteran IQ, and the awareness on that was the second pitch of the at-bat, I believe,
yes,
able to find the middle of the field and bring in the go-ahead run.
So a pitching change for Creighton now. And like you said, for Seton Hall, that's kind of a coach's dream. You want to have upperclassmen in the bottom of your order, and obviously if your underclassmen have that much talent where you can put them towards the middle, you love that. But the reason you want veteran presences towards the bottom of your order is because you're looking for quality at-bats in the bottom of the order, and obviously with juniors and seniors all over the place, they're going to give you that. And you saw it right there with Howard. She was able to offer 2 RBIs. So on the mound now for Creighton is Brooklyn Patchen, a junior. Has a 2-5 record with 35 innings pitched, a 6.20 ERA, and 31 strikeouts, obviously, in 35 innings, as we mentioned. So she's looking to get out of this. Really a short leash for Gilman.
Yeah, so this is with Creighton, you have the 1-2 punch of Gilman and Brooklyn. I don't know if they wanted to get to her this early. Like you said, Manny, beyond a short leash, not even able to get through the entirety of the lineup. And it kind of felt like similar to Wakely in the top half of the inning. Felt like she was cruising early on. She was painting the corners, getting ahead in counts, and then I believe like in that 4th or 5th at-bat, just kind of lost command, and she's out of this game already before the 2nd inning.
Yeah, and the first 2 base runners for Seton Hall got on due to soft contact, and maybe you would say a misplay from the second baseman, which it won't go down as an error, but that hesitation costed Creighton an out potentially. So 1-0 now as Andrea Perez will look to welcome Patchen into this game. 1-1 now.
You know, that's the beauty of the sport, man. You forget the 1 out. You potentially had 2 outs on that soft grounder. Still looking for that 3rd out here early on with damage, beyond damage done. Back to being behind in the game. Still early.
1-1. That one kind of a corkscrew there, and it'll go foul. So 1-2 now as Patchen is ahead of her first batter.
Patchen, the product of White House, Ohio, junior.
1-2, 2 outs. Pirates up 1. The pitch is grounded off the glove of Patchen. Second baseman not able to adjust. We're loaded again here after another piece of soft contact leads to a base runner for the Pirates.
Another botched play by the pitcher. We saw it in both halves of this inning now. It's kind of different. The play with Wakely kind of seeped into the outfield here. It still remained in front of Patchen. Not able to get the play at first or anywhere on the diamond for that matter. We're going to complete this lineup here in the first inning.
At the plate is the freshman L'Oreal Blake. First start of the year for her, designated player here for Seton Hall. And Vandwater, the second baseman for Creighton, did a great job of adjusting after the ricochet off the glove of Patchen. Just wasn't able to make the play in time. Perez has a lot of speed. 3-2 now. Blake takes the first strike of the at-bat. 1-1 after the fastball from Patchen.
Back-to-back at-bats out of the gates for Patchen, behind on the first pitch. Kind of different from what we saw out of Gilman, and then we kind of saw her lose control.
And that one lined right up the middle. It'll be at least 1. It'll be likely 2 for Seton Hall. Yes, it will. 2 RBI single as both runners advance on the throw. L'Oreal Blake, hello, welcome to Seton Hall.
Welcome to Seton Hall. Welcome to the starting lineup.
No doubt about it. Blake takes advantage of her first at-bat as part of the starting lineup for the Pirates, as she smoked a single right up the middle, as Seton Hall now up 3. We're back to the top of the order as we've batted around here. Angelina Benitez, the center fielder, now at the plate, looking to add 2 more potentially with a base hit. She's ahead in the count now.
And like you said, Manny, when we spoke to Coach Churchill, I think you could just notice that this team's having more fun playing out there. Just kind of letting loose, just enjoying the sport. And it's reflected on the scoreboard.
Saw Blake was fired up after getting to second, after her 2 RBI single. Showing a lot of emotion as the Seton Hall team, which can lead to a lot of good things when it's positive. 1-1 now to Benitez. Way ahead there, was fooled by Patchen on the changeup.
Rare chase there from Benitez. Looks like she was pressing on that swing, just looking to put the ball in play, which what she does best, but a rare chase, and it was a bad one on that pitch.
1-2 now to Benitez. Benitez doesn't bite on another changeup as Patchen went right back to the well. So we're even at 2-2. Patchen against the superstar Angelina Benitez. She's way ahead there on the high pitch. Nonetheless, a lot of good stuff for this Seton Hall squad. 5 hits and 5 runs for the Pirates. They lead 5-2 after 1. We'll be right back at the top half of the second inning.
Sorry,
Welcome back to the second inning of this ball game. Seton Hall facing off the Creighton Blue Jays. My name is Manny Pereira. Next to me, Ross Vacaturo, and Seton Hall really exploded there offensively in the first.
Absolutely. When we saw Creighton's approach at the lineup, by the way, you got to go back to February 20th, the last time Creighton opened up the top of the first, or any first inning with a score. Wound up winning that game 11-4, but we said they had to get out in front early, and they did just that. Pirates just did it more.
Yeah, no doubt. And they felt very good, probably with the way Gilman was looking in the beginning of that inning. Obviously, soft contact led to a few base runners for Seton Hall, and she was really painting the corners there against Jinex. Had a great at-bat, and that bunt is going to lead to a single and maybe more bases here for Creighton. The throw on the second is not in time. So the Blue Jays start off this second inning with some small ball. Leads to good things for them. That was Ashton Pearson, the shortstop, with the bunt. An errant throw there gave her second base.
Gotta wonder if you're Howard there, you probably regret not just pocketing that ball and leaving Pearson at first. It was a close play, but it was kind of a far stretch, and it leaves Pearson at second right out the gates here in the second inning.
That was pretty savvy there from Pearson as well. Obviously, in college softball and in college baseball as well, you have the safety bag there in foul territory. She was not running straight to that. She was not outside the foul line. She kind of ran a little bit inside, which that might be what Churchill is discussing with the umpire. Because if she got way too into the throwing lane, obviously that's a safety hazard.
That be an interference?
Yep. So we'll see on the replay here. At least the umpires will check. if Pearson indeed got in the way. So they're going to review. We got 2 reviews already. It's only the second inning.
We got 3 actually. No, then we have the double play with the Pirates. Then we had the Perez play.
Yes, you're
And
right.
now this
yes,
one.
and now this one. Yep.
All
Yeah,
on
so
the base
3.
paths.
My goodness, these umpires are going to work. So are replay operators here at Seton Hall. Really
Keeping
getting
them
their
busy.
money's worth. Yeah. So this is a huge review here. Obviously, Creighton looking to get back on the board, rob some momentum back.
But I think kind of like what we were saying before, it's all about setting the tone early. And when you're looking at a Creighton team that's kind of had the inability of doing just that, we spoke to Coach Crystal Wood early on, and she was kind of adamant about the fact that, you know, when they pitch, the hitting's not there, kind of vice versa. When they're hitting well, the pitching's not up to par. And they got the hitting, right? And then the pitching just completely fell beneath itself. And all of a sudden now in a game where, you know, they were going on 2+ weeks without setting the tone early, and yet they're still looking at a deficit after the first inning.
So Ashton Pearson, she would likely get the single if they give her the bag, not a double. She'll get the throw. Excuse me, she'll get the base after the errant throw. So a long discussion here and a long review for these umpires.
You said it, man. They're getting their money's worth today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So they seem to have made a decision. We'll see exactly what that is. But Churchill came straight out after the play. She wanted them to at least discuss it. And they'll say she's safe. Call stands. So no funny business from Pearson running the bases. She earns a single, and she'll stand on second base now. So Creighton kind of starting right where they left off in the top half of the first inning. Got a runner in scoring position. So Wakely's going to have to work hard here again.
Absolutely. Talking about setting tones here, even despite the 3-run deficit, the fact that now you have much less any runner than 9-hitter in scoring position early with none away, and the top of the order back at the plate. A little low and away there on the first pitch, 1-0.
So they're going to give Pearson the hit. Now back to the top of the order. It'll be Avery Bernard, the right fielder for Creighton. She's ahead 1-0. And that one lined in the left field. Base hit. Pearson rounds third. She'll head over home. The throw is not in time. So another run for the Creighton Blue Jays as they get back in business offensively.
Got to respect the aggressiveness there. We talked about in the bottom half of the first kind of how, I believe it was DeMarco, had a little too much juice on the base hit, wasn't able to score in that rounding run at third. But this one a little bit softer on the contact, still found open grass in left field. And just like that, Creighton gets one back.
So Barnard continues her excellent season at the plate. Earns herself an RBI. And obviously a base hit. So now 5-3 is the score. Blue Jays down 2. First pitch in there for strike number 1.
9th RBI of the season for Barnard.
Yep. And Greenwood now at the plate, who has also had a lot of success herself. That one in the dirt.
Greenwood had the double, came around to score in the first inning. Kind of the opposite field look, and that's kind of what we saw with actually all 3 pitchers we've seen so far, and the hitting approach on both teams kind of looking opposite field, and it all started with Greenwood.
That one does not get the top of the zone. So 2-1 now. Greenwood hitting .323 on the season. Coming into this game, obviously, she's 1 for 1 today. And that one lined foul.
Lily West on deck, the catcher. Kind of a similar layout in terms of lineups like we said with Coach Churchill and the Pirates. Kind of got a mix of your underclassmen and experienced seniors. Got a freshman currently at the plate with Greenwood.
Greenwood, 2-2. She chases that one, goes down on strikes as Wakely gets her first K of the game.
I believe she's found a lot more success on the outside end of the plate. Even if she misses, and she's missed a couple wild ones, able to get Greenwood to chase on that one and just overall not risking the hit by pitch, because the last thing you need, goes without saying, is to put another woman on base.
Wakely trying to stay ahead here. She does not get ahead of the count with that first pitch way off the plate in the dirt. At the plate is Lily West for the Creighton Blue Jays, who's 0 for 1. Here's the 1-0. Breaking ball is in there for strike number 1. And obviously a lot of game left. Creighton suffered after giving up a 5 spot in the first inning, but they only find themselves down 2. Their bats have not been an issue thus far in this ballgame. That one just off the plate as Wakely tries to find the outside corner.
Yeah, she's been testing that backdoor curve. We spoke to Coach Churchill, and she was highly emphasizing on her backdoor curve the ability to kind of paint that low outside corner, and she's missed a little bit, but for the most part, she's been on par with the accuracy.
The 2-1. That one lined. It'll get through the hole. Base hit. Rounding third. Throw on the home is not in time. Another RBI single as West gets to second on the throw. Barnard able to score there after a single. So 5-4 is the score. So much offense in the early part of this ballgame.
Creighton not wasting any time looking to get back into this ballgame like you just said, Manny. I think it's the added aggression and the fact that you kind of look, they're playing small ball, right? The leadoff hitter, Pearson, with the bunt, a perfect bunt, found herself on second, and then just at-bat after at-bat. Now you had the one chase from Greenwood, but for the most part, being able to work at-bats, work the count, and just put bat to ball and find the gaps within the infield. It's done Creighton wonders, and they're all of a sudden back within 1.
Have a chance to make this a tie ball game with another base hit. And trying to do that for the Creighton Blue Jays is Caitlin Schultz. In there. Strike number 1. Wakely gets ahead. Remember, Schultz in her last at-bat was down 0-2. And then was able to work a walk. She ended up scoring in that inning. So only 1 plate appearance. No official at-bats for her so far in this game. High riser there. Not able to find the plate, so 1-1 now.
Funny enough, you kind of look, it's pretty much even in terms of Wakely's ability to start counts 0-1, head of the count rather, and she's found more success, believe it or not, when she starts the count down 0-1.
Yeah, and you'd like to think maybe that's kind of mental for her, trying to do too much when ahead of the count.
Then again, we did see the at-bat with, I believe it was Van Water, got up 3-0 and wound up being a non-factor on the base paths.
3-1 now. So Schultz is in the driver's seat, the first baseman for the Creighton Blue Jays. The 3-1 on its way. Wakely doesn't get the call. Surrenders the base on balls. 2 runners on base now for Creighton. Churchill coming out of the dugout. Looks like she's going to make a change here as Wakely takes off her mask and walks back to her team's side, and they will indeed make a change.
Yeah, last thing you want to see if you were the Pirates here, you had the 3-run advantage. Only able to get 1 more out of Wakely here in the second. That was kind of one other thing, too. You had the fact that Krista Wood and company with the Blue Jays had to make their switch early on. Kind of were ahead of kind of were ahead of the 8 ball in that regard, and then all of a sudden you kind of lose that advantage, and all of a sudden, like we said, Creighton's back within 1 here as well.
Right-hander Rachel Schumann will take on the rubber, number 19, with a 6.91 ERA, 197 WHIP, 3-2 record. This is also her 13th appearance. Seton Hall has used the entire staff throughout this season. Every single pitcher has thrown the same amount of games in this season. She's had 4 starts. We talked to Coach Churchill before the game, and she said Schumann has an excellent changeup. So look to see that throughout this ball game.
There's a heavy emphasis on that excellent, too.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And like you said, too, Manny, I think it's kind of the variety Coach Churchill has to work with. You have Kersher. We saw Wakely, obviously, here today. You also have Dupuis, who's kind of has the least amount of innings pitched, but she still had a significant amount of a workload to this point in the season. So if you're Coach Churchill, you kind of got that 4-woman rotation to balance out your pitching staff.
Schumann will look to get out of this jam, send her team back to the dugout. One out, in this top half of the second inning. She's down 1-0. So Wakely's line to end things off. 1 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 walks, 4 earned runs. So not a solid day at the office for Wakely, but this Seton Hall team still ahead in this ball game. Schumann looking to keep them ahead. That one fouled off.
Still have the double play intact for the Pirates.
At the plate for Creighton is Keegan Mayhew, the designated player. 1 for 1 with an RBI. The 1-1 count. Off the plate.
Just missed the zone on that one. Like the added effort from Howard looking to frame the outside part of the zone there. Just didn't get the call.
Kind of looked like a cutter there from Schumann. Was her riser, but her riser's got some horizontal movement. Tried to go on the inside part of the plate. Down 3-1 now. In the count is Rachel Schumann. Mayhew in the driver's seat. 3-1, 1 out. The pitch down the middle is right up the middle. Rounding third, but staying put is number 8, Lily West. So bases are juiced now as Schumann gives up a single in her first at-bat. Mayhew now 2 for 2 on the day.
Yet another liner to the pitcher. We've seen this multiple times, Manny, on the comebacker. That was a little bit more of a line drive to Schumann, in all fairness to Schumann, but all of a sudden you catch that on the liner. Who knows if you have 2 hesitant runners, and all of a sudden now you're looking bases loaded straight in the face.
Would have been a nice break for the Pirates. They weren't able to get it, though, so instead the bases are loaded now. So West stands on third. At second is Schultz with Mayhew standing on first after the single. At the plate is Vandwater. That one in there for strike number 1 of the at-bat. Great pitch on the inside corner. Vandwater has a walk. No run scored in this game.
Schulman a lot more comfortable pitching inside than Wakely.
Yeah, you see her really attacking the inside part of the plate. She goes right back to that inside fastball. Little souvenir for the fans. Do we keep the balls in college softball? I guess we're finding out right now.
Asking the wrong guy on that one. I believe so. I see the guy who caught it.
Yeah, he's
waving people
away. He
away.
doesn't seem to have the idea of throwing it. Oh, no, he does. He's giving it back. It's a good Samaritan right there. 1-2 now. 1 out. Schumann. Right back up the middle. Base hit for Creighton. 1 run scores. Here comes the play at the plate. 2 run score for the Creighton Blue Jays, who are quickly up 6-5 as they give a warm welcome to Rachel Schumann.
2 RBI single there for Vanwater, her 15th and 16th runs batted in on the season. And like we said before, Manny, I mean, we talked about the 1 dot on the OPS. She's been phenomenal since she, been a mainstay in the 6th spot of the lineup. And kind of as the rest of the lineup's proven so far, just finding open turf or open dirt rather, and up the field in the infield, and all of a sudden it puts the Blue Jays back on top here.
So those runs will go on Wakely's line. That's 6 Ernies for her after Schumann inherited those 2 runners. She's responsible for the 2 girls on base right now, though. Breaking ball, not able to get the call. So 1-0 now. That one must have missed low. At the plate for Creighton is Erica Perez, the third baseman, who's 1 for 1 with an RBI, looking to add another ribby to her line here. Swung on and missed, strike number 1.
Solid break on that one, able to lower beneath the bottom corner of the zone on that one for Schumann, who we said, man, he's not afraid to pitch inside, kind of varying a little bit of outside movement here as well.
The 1-1 on its way. Schumann trying to get her first out of her outing. And she's ahead in the count now after that one's fouled off. So Perez, the third baseman, who has had a lot of slug in this game. Lefty batter, in this season, pardon me. Slugging over a 500 clip. Doesn't chase that one. We're even at 2-2 now.
If you're Schumann, just want to be able to offer something that you'll get Perez to bite at. Try to get a second out here.
The 2-2. Schumann goes to the breaking ball. Or the off speed. Might have been a changeup there. So 3-2 now. And she's kind of been leaning more towards that outside part of the plate on lefties. Tried to go back inside, but wasn't able to get the chase. Schumann went back outside. That one was a riser. Good job from Erica Perez to adjust and foul it off.
Perez just gets a piece of it to stay alive in the at-bat. Kind of what I was saying, Schumann kind of offering at the outside options. Kind of saw a couple other at-bats early on here you had.
She goes with the soft stuff. Down the line, base hit. That'll be a run for the Creighton Blue Jays, maybe 2. Throw into the infield. They won't even try. They'll throw to third instead, and she's safe. A triple for Erica Perez, who extends the lead for the Creighton Blue Jays. They are now up 8-5 after the base hit down the line.
Her 7th extra base hit of the year. RBIs number 9 and 10 for the sophomore third baseman. Manny, I don't know about you. That kind of just looked like it floated over the plate.
Yeah, that was a
Perez was able
changeup that she left right down the middle. And that's a nightmare pitch for anyone. Perez was actually out in front, but since it caught so much plate, she was able to kind of stay back and shoot it down the line. That one in foul territory will stay in play for the third baseman. 2 outs now after the foul out.
You could have fit a piece of paper between that ball and the right side foul line as well. I thought for sure that was hooking right in foul territory. Was able to clip fair territory, tack down 2 more runs for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Gen X was able to secure the second out of the inning for Seton Hall. And we've got a slugfest thus far in this game. A 6 spot so far for Creighton in this inning. And Schumann gets the count back even at 1-1.
Definitely not a fan favorite if you're a fan of the pitcher duel.
Yeah, no doubt. Schumann was able to generate some soft contact there, but it'll be out of play. So after the Pirates batted around last inning, Creighton has officially done so as well with Ashton Pearson at the plate. She got on earlier with a bunt single. Looking to do it swinging the bat now. 1-2. Pearson doesn't bite. 8-5 is your score. 2-2, 2 outs. See if Creighton can extend their lead. That pitch not in the zone, as Schumann thought she had the backwards K there. Instead, she'll have to offer a 3-2 here. I kind of thought she had the backwards K too, not going to lie to you.
Does she have the inside corner? Yep.
3-2. That one lined into center field, and a diving play is not made after it ricochets off the glove of Benitez. They'll try a triple here. Pearson able to slide into third, safe. Another triple for the Creighton Blue Jays as they are up 9-5. Don't think they'll score that an error on Benitez.
Definitely not. That was a tough play for Benitez. I think she slid a second too late. Otherwise, she would have almost still had it despite the late slide. There's no way you could score that an error. Benitez did pretty much everything she could have. That was just a tough play from the jump.
And Pearson came into this game hitting .071. She's got a single and a triple in the same inning.
How about back-to-back triples for the Blue Jays?
That one in there for a ball, actually. So Schumann's really been living on that inside corner. Hasn't necessarily worked. When she's tried to go outside, she's just kept it right over the plate. And that's why you see so much hard contact from this Creighton side. This might be the highest scoring game, or end up being the highest scoring game of the whole Big East season. Why not get dramatic here?
Right from the get-go.
It's the second inning, and it's a 9-5. Schumann doesn't get that one.
Hey, if you remember the little blast from the past this time last year with Major League Baseball, what was it, the torpedo bats?
Yes.
Maybe we got some of those out there on the field today.
Yeah, I don't know if they've made metal. I think they have made aluminum torpedo bats. Breaking ball in there for a strike.
See, there we saw the movement a little bit on the changeup. You know, we spoke to Coach Churchill, and she couldn't have spoke any better about Schumann's changeup, and we kind of saw on the at bat to Perez.
Fly ball to right field. Play is made for the third out of the inning. So that'll do it through 1.5 innings. 9-5 is your score. Creighton Blue Jays on top. We'll be right back in the bottom half of the second. We're back for the bottom of the second inning. Seton Hall will look to get a few runs back after Creighton was able to generate a 7 spot in the top of the second. So leading off is the I'm looking at the wrong sheet. I apologize. Is Christina Ginex.
Creighton?
Katie Brennan, please. I apologize. The left fielder.
Creighton's actually had a little bit of a flair for the dramatic early on. I know we joked before about if this could be the highest scoring game in conference play, but you go back to February 27th, they were out in northern Colorado, won a 20-11 ball game. Wow. 20-11.
So not their first time in a slugfest this year. There's still a lot of game left. Obviously, if you're Seton Hall, and you want to try to be optimistic. You're not going against the ace for the Jays. So still a lot of game left. That one flied in foul territory, out of play.
Like when we spoke to Krista Wood, too, we brought this up before after what we thought was plenty of offense with 2 runs in the first. Didn't really necessarily see it from the pitching to follow up. How about 7 runs of the offense is doing now? If you're this pitching staff, Brooklyn Patchen and company, look to maintain this 4-run lead.
So Patchen quickly ahead 0-2 on Brennan, who's 1 for 1 in this game. They gave her a base hit after that slow roller to second. The 1-2 on its way. In the dirt.
Great effort by Brennan there. You could tell she thought about dishing at it, but able to keep the plate awareness to a T, keep the bat on the shoulders, and stay alive in the at-bat.
Rise ball, not able to get the call. Great pitch there after going in the dirt, then going with the hard stuff there. 3-2 though, after Brennan was not biting. The left fielder in her second at bat of the ball game. 3-2 is able to take it. Excellent plate appearance from Katie Brennan, who's officially gotten on base twice in this game.
Great eye from Brennan there. Absolutely, the fact she was behind in the count. 3 pitches worth chasing at. And Brennan was able to keep pace and stay alive in the at-bat, and she gets herself a leadoff walk.
Here comes the freshman, Christina Jennings, third baseman, who's 0 for 1 in this game. Went down via the K. But that was against Gilman. This is her first time going against Patchen. And again, to kind of go back to the optimistic point of view for Seton Hall as Creighton will talk things over. They still haven't thrown their ace, or their best arm, Crucier. So if you're Seton Hall, you really want to kind of get a few runs here offensively, maybe settle down on the mound, give Crucier a little bit more or less of a job to do if you're able to put up a few zeros and then get her in there. But if you're Seton Hall offensively, you kind of want to stay in the game here.
100% too, and I think if you look at Schumann, I think the whole thing is that you didn't get it nearly as much of the length as you wanted out of Wakely. Kind of nipped that in the bud and hope Schumann could hold her own for at least 1, maybe 2 more innings at the bare minimum.
That one in the zone for a strike. And Patchen's been living on the corners. Although she gave up a few big hits, she has been in the zone for the most part. That one grounded over to third. On to second for 1. The play on the first is not in time. So a fielder's choice for Creighton. Patchen able to get an out. Jinex now 0 for 2 on the day.
Great hustle there, though, from Jinex to avoid the double play. And great scoop at third from Perez. Hard hit ball kind of off the ground, able to scoop it up, get the surefire out at second, and then Jinex able to hustle out to prevent the double.
It was a smooth turn between Perez and Vandwater, but they were not able to get both outs. If you're Coach Wood, with the way this game has been going, you're happy with all the outs you can get, so getting a fielder's choice there and avoiding disaster is a positive for Creighton. 1-0 now. In the dirt, so ahead is Sophia DeMarco.
You know, it's a good point you bring up, Manny. You know, you kind of look at it, you kind of hoping you got that second out, but like you said, keywords avoid disaster and not throw it past the first baseman. Yeah, Schultz over at first base, because not to do an announcer's jinx, but first inning we haven't had a umpire's review yet.
Yeah, this is the first half inning.
So
far, we have not had a review. DeMarco now still ahead 3-1. She got 1 out. She's 1 for 1 on the day with a run scored and a long single. So she'll get on base for the second time today after the free pass surrendered by Patch. And Naya Martinez, now the right fielder, will look to do some damage. She had a sac fly in her first plate appearance, so already has an RBI on the day, is looking to get on the board with a base hit and maybe tack on a run for this Pirates squad. Breaking ball in there for a strike.
2 homers on the year, 7 RBIs. And we kind of spoke her praises during her first at-bat about how much she's meant to this lineup in the few weeks she's been a key part of it.
The 0-1. Heaters in there. Quickly down 0-2 is Naya Martinez.
We spoke about it too before, Manny. Just if you're the Pirates now, albeit down 4 runs, you got 2 runners on, just to keep pace with the Blue Jays, and even if you're down, keep this game within check and keep it at what it's currently at, 1 swing away from being a tied ball game, if you get another runner on at least.
Yeah, and we mentioned earlier in the broadcast this Seton Hall squad, a fan of the Grand Slam. So after going down in the zone, off the plate, Patchen tries to get a swing and a miss with a high pitch. Martinez, underclassman, not biting though. The 5-hole hitter for the Pirates. 2-2. She takes strike 3. Brooklyn Patchen gets the K as she catches Martinez looking with a pitch on the inside corner.
Yeah, that was just a dot from Patchen. Not much you could do if you're Martinez. Looked to have a little bit of break as it clipped the bottom inside edge of the zone. And like I said, it's at the knees, barely clips the zone. Not much you could do there if you're Martinez. Just a great, phenomenal pitch.
Some late run there froze Martinez. Now at the plate is Aaron Howard, who had the double and 2 RBIs. Looking to follow that up with at least 1 more RBI if she can get a base hit here. Was actually up with a similar situation. She had 2 runners on, 1 on first, 1 on second. Was able to split the gaps and bring in 2 runs for her team. This time she's down 0-2. Patchen looking to get another K and retire the side. That one lined into right field. It'll be a foul ball.
Just squeaks foul. Yeah, you brought it up before me. The fact she was able to lace it kind of on a slow roller past short last time. Didn't have enough juice for it, kind of slowly backed it to the outfield, and that's how she was able to bring multiple runners home last time around.
The 0-2 taken for ball number 1. So now a 1-2 count. 2 outs for the senior Howard. Howard kind of gets jammed there, and it'll be an infield pop out to the second baseman Vandwater. Creighton able to put up a 0 after putting up a 7 spot offensively. Disastrous second inning for the Seton Hall Pirates. We'll be back at the start of the third. 9-5 is your score. Leading things off for Creighton is Zoe Greenwood, as Schumann will look to get things done in her first full inning, and Greenwood continues the success offensively with a single. 2 for 3 on the day now with a double, along with now a single.
Yeah, that's just an unfortunate bounce. You would think, I'd say that was more leaning towards the second base side, but still just didn't have a lot of juice to it. And you look back at that one, it was like there's not much more you could do on that grounder, but leadoff pitch, you already got another runner on base. Last thing you needed if you were Seton Hall.
So Lily West, who's also 1 for 2, with an RBI double on the day and a run scored. Catcher at the plate. Seton Hall will look to talk things over. So if you're Schumann, you kind of just want to settle down and get a clean inning. Creighton really not making her job easily here. First pitch right up the middle. And all of a sudden, Seton Hall with their backs against the wall again.
You know, Manny, you used a good word in that last inning, disaster, right? Because as bad as not even so much as bad as the pitching front was in the first inning, you look back at so far, 2 runs doesn't feel like that much. But you put up 5 of your own, and then to come back to the field, give up a 7 spot, and then match that with a goose egg on your part, all of a sudden now, like what I was talking about, keeping pace with the Blue Jays, now all of a sudden you kind of feel it slipping away a little bit. But like you said, it's early, and if Creighton could put up 7, so could you.
And so many momentum swings in just 2+ innings in this game. Obviously, Creighton started off winning 2-0. Then Seton Hall with that 5 spot. You saw that hit from L'Oreal Blake with 2 RBIs. Everybody fired up on the Pirates side. And then all of a sudden, you give up 7 in the second, answer back with a 0, as you said. And Creighton, to start off Big East play, feeling very good about themselves so far in this ball game on the road.
Like we were saying before, Manny, too, maybe there's that element of playing a little too tight, kind of like on that bloop off the bat of Howard. We saw a couple bad chases in the bottom half of the inning. Maybe they just got to play loose and have fun like we talked about with Coach Churchill prior to the game.
2-1 is the count now. Lily West, as we mentioned earlier, the catcher at the plate for Creighton. The 2-1 from Schumann. That one lined foul.
Got a solid piece of that, just drove it a little too far left. Another souvenir. Actually, that one landed in the bullpen.
There you go. Got dirt bullpens here at Seton Hall. Schumann now. 2-2. Trying to get the first out of this third inning. Grounder through the hole, goes off the glove of Jinex, and instead of what could have been a diving play, maybe a force out there for Seton Hall, leads to a single. Creighton back-to-back singles to start off this third inning.
I really don't even think she needed to dive on that one. I wouldn't say that was necessarily a routine play. There was obviously a little juice to that hit, but I feel like that's one Jinex easily could have scooped up and relayed to first.
You got high standards, Ross.
I'll say this. The one up the middle was one thing. I felt like that probably would have required a double play, and you're probably on an off angle at that point. But if you're Jinex, you got solid angle. And like we're saying, too, these outs are too few and far between. That's when you got to kind of capitalize, and you're like, how many more of those potential opportunities are you going to get to make a play in the infield? And like you said, they got 2 runners on with none away.
And Jinex plays very close to the bag. Obviously, kind of costed her there. She was a little more closer to the hole. Would have had a routine play. A lot to ask from the freshman, though. She's playing kind of in now with the threat of a bunt with no one out and 2 runners on. So 1-0 is the count. At the plate for Creighton is Schultz, the first baseman. That one, big swing. But it'll be foul. Looked like it might have had the distance if it stayed fair.
Yeah, thought Brennan had enough room to track that down, just squeaked past the fence in foul territory.
So 1-1 is the count. Schumann to Schultz. in there, first strike. All of a sudden, Schumann now up 1-2. Not her first two-strike count of the inning. Wasn't able to result in and out against West. We'll see if she has a change of fortune here against Schultz. Schumann. Heater, way outside. Schultz has had 2 walks in this game, so no official at-bats yet for her. She scored twice as well. So it's been a solid day for the OBP. Pitch to Schultz. Off speed in the dirt. Now it's 3-2.
OBP, how can I explain it? I frame by frame by frame it. She's had as good of, plate awareness as anybody on the Blue Jays team. She's found herself on base both times, like you said, Manny, and that's kind of a little bit of the small ball approach we've talked about with the Blue Jays to this point.
Kaylin Schultz. That one might have some room, and a collision between Howard and Jinex. Jinex seems to have gotten hurt. A miscommunication between the catcher and the third baseman for the Pirates. Now Howard checking on Jinex.
Yeah, looks like Jinex got the worst of that. I hope she's all right.
Yeah, she kind of dove into the knees of Howard, and those leg guards hurt, if that is what she hit. She seems to be okay, though.
Looks like she's staying in the ball game.
She will.
You're right, because I think Howard looked like she was tracking
stayed
it down.
up, yeah.
And then Jinex, was kind of coming in on the off angle, kind of a little more pace to her legs as well. Howard was kind of more so winding the ball down, and I guess kind of the impact. Jinex got the worst of it.
And we can't tell from here if anyone called the ball, which would kind of help analyze the situation with a little bit more fairness, but definitely at least one of the two.
Looks like she's going to be all right,
Had a
though.
bit of a miscommunication there. Jinex walking it off. Howard now taking the opportunity to speak to her pitcher. But again, a freshman there at third was definitely an easier play for Howard, the senior. And Jinex, who has not had her best game, was looking to kind of make a play there, get the first out of the inning. Instead, it's 3-2 with a chance for Creighton to do some damage. The pitch to Schultz. Off speed, does not get the call. So another base on balls.
I thought for sure she painted
For
the
Kaylin
inside
Schultz.
part of the zone there.
Yeah, at least it looked like it got on the knee. It was at the knees. Time is called again. See if there's a pitching change on the way for Seton Hall. Doesn't seem to be the case. So Keegan Mayhew at the plate, the designated player for Creighton.
We got the replay here. Looks like it was a little low, just more so a great effort by Howard there to kind of frame it back to the bottom part of the zone, but it looks like Blue got it right there.
First pitch of the at-bat is lined into the gap. Extra bases for Creighton. 1 run scores. 2 runs scored. Throw on the home from Perez is not in time. A bases clearing double from Keegan Mayhew.
Didn't waste any time there, swinging for the fences, short of the fence, but cleared the bases, got the job done. All of a sudden now, this is getting still a lot of time here, but all of a sudden now it's getting within, far out of reach rather, for the Pirates now eyeing up a 7-run deficit.
So a pitching change has now been ordered from Coach Churchill. Not a good outing for Schumann, who's responsible with 6 runs as well. And obviously is also responsible for that runner on second base. If she scores, it'll add to her line. So now number 23, Carissa Dupuis will take the mound, an 11.25 ERA on the season, so it has not been sunshine and rainbows for her. She's got 8 appearances on the year, 3 starts, 9 1/3 innings pitched, 16 walks and 4 strikeouts. So obviously the problem for her has been staying consistent in the zone.
100%. And I believe, we talked, Manny, we talked to Coach Churchill prior to the game. Sounds like they want to save Kurt Krosher for, late game situations. But if you're eyeing up a 7-run deficit here early, I feel like you kind of got to stop the bleeding one way or another. No knock on Dupuis, but when you eye up the ERA and just the overall stats, I feel like between the two of them, at the end of the day, they're both still available. And it really falls back to first pitcher. We talked about it with Schumann. Feel like you need a little bit more of a leash from her. Kind of needed that extra inning in a third or whatnot. We obviously saw what Wakely wasn't able to go that far, at least beyond as far as she wanted to go. And then same went for Schumann.
That one, deep fly ball left field. It is in play, a foul fly out, as the left fielder, Brennan, secures the first out of the inning, so Dupuis is able to get an out after facing her first batter. Still kind of a loud out, though.
Yeah, definitely had your heart skipping a few beats on that one, but an out nonetheless.
So the junior from Middletown looking to get her second out of the inning. She'll face Erica Perez. So that one's in the dirt. Either way, runner tagged from second over to third. So still a fly ball would lead to another run for Creighton. A productive out from the Blue Jays sets up Perez now with an RBI opportunity. 1-1 is the count.
Add Dupuis to the list of pitchers we've seen today that kind of favor the outside part of the zone. I feel like Schumann was kind of the lone exception to that.
And there it is right there again, trying to go outside, this time off the plate. 2-1 is the count, 1 out. Dupuis goes inside there, that one a little bit off the plate, so 3-1 is the count.
Lucky she didn't scrape one of Perez's knees there on that one. Avoid the hit by pitch.
Yeah, Perez not backing off the plate. She's willing to take one for the team. 3-1 is swung on and miss. Great breaking ball there from Dupuis. A little bit anxious was Perez. 3-1, chased a little bit out of the zone.
Yeah, beautiful cut to that one. Little underneath the zone, but the vertical movement on it, like you said, Manny. And Dupuis looking to get out of this full count.
3-2-1 out. Foul ball. Perez stays alive. Dupuis went right back to the breaking ball there. We'll see what she goes with here after 2 straight. Three and 2 is the count. The 3-2. That one through the hole on the right side of the infield. Base hit. An RBI for Erica Perez. And Creighton keeps tallying on the scoreboard. 13-5 now. They're up 8.
They're hitting them to all parts of the diamond. Hitting them up the middle, finding gaps in between both sides of the infield. We've had a couple wall scrapers. I mean, Creighton is taking up every part of this diamond so far today, and that's largely in part to the fact that they're up 8 currently. And it's not looking like they're going to stop anytime soon.
Center fielder Ella Dalton at the plate now. So that's another run for Schumann. Her line ends with 7 earnings. So again, been a tough day for the staff of the Pirates. Obviously a 3-game series on the way. You still got Krusher, who Creighton has not seen this season. And if you're Wood and her staff, you kind of feel good about the fact that Gilman didn't look bad when she threw. And Seton Hall really didn't see much of her at all. And they're still up 8.
100%. That's actually an added fact. I didn't even think of, Manny. The fact that now you kind of conserve the looks that, later on in the season, you don't really have a feel for her repertoire and whatnot. But also the fact that, for Coach Wood, didn't see like what she saw at Gilman, kind of nipped it in the bud early, and Patchen's been beyond money, albeit 1 inning, but the lone scoreless inning to this point has been at the hands of Brooklyn Patchen, who kind of, similar to the short leash we saw with Wakely, took the opportunity and seized it, and it's the fact that Creighton's kind of blown this one open.
That they have indeed done. Grounded over to first. Foul. DeMarco fields it in foul territory, so 2-1 now. And again, if you're Seton Hall, obviously feel good about the way that first inning went. Haven't had a terrible defensive game, but you've had a few you want back. That one chopped to the pitcher, Dupuis, who flips it over to DeMarco and gets the second out of the inning.
Had a way to capitalize on that kind of gimme of a grounder there. No shenanigans with bouncing off the glove and line drives and whatnot. Just a smooth, soft grounder right back to Dupuis, and they get the easy out at first.
And what helped spark this rally for Creighton was that miscue between Jinex and Howard that then led to a base runner after they weren't able to secure the out. Gave them another chance there. They capitalized. So they find themselves up 8 runs. The pitch. Fouled back. We're even with Pearson at the plate. The shortstop, who's 2 for 2 today with a single and a triple.
Yeah, that single, if you remember, was a bunt. Kind of started all this small ball magic for Creighton. And like we said, they're kind of sending them all over the diamond, but kind of the exit velo off the bats hasn't been jumping off the page, and it started with the perfect bunt Pearson late early.
That one in there for a strike. Ahead of the count now is Dupuis. One and two. 2 outs. Creighton looking to extend their lead. Here it comes, Dupuis. Solid pitch there, going up and away. Doesn't get Pearson to bite. And again, Creighton's head coach, Crystal Wood, spoke about how she wanted a complete game from her team. And she's definitely gotten a lot from the offense. Strikes out looking is Pearson. So Dupuis does not surrender a run to her line after inheriting the runner and gave up the run that Schumann was responsible for. So Creighton puts up a 4 spot in the top half of the third. 13-5 is the score. We'll be back in the bottom half of the third inning. We're back for the bottom of the third inning. This game kind of out of hand right now for Seton Hall. Looking to change things up is Caroline Hobbs, the second baseman, who will lead things off now for Seton Hall. In there for strike number 1. Patchen has looked very sharp so far in this game.
Patchen's been money with getting ahead early in the count. A lot of 0-1 counts more often than not, and this at-bat's so different, especially with a contact hitter at the plate, and Hobbs specializes with just putting bat on ball.
Hobbs quickly down 0-2 after she chases that pitch outside. So Patchen looking to get a K here. That one grounded over to third. Running play in. makes the play. Creighton now with the first out of the inning after Hobbs chopped one over to the third baseman.
Yeah, great scoop by Perez there, just able in stride to scoop the ball up a little bit towards, kind of at the shins, and then able to scoop it in stride and relay it over to first for the flawless first out.
Erica Perez with a running throw there after Hobbs was sprinting down the line. Right to the chest of Mayhew. That one swung on and missed. At the plate is Andrea Perez, the shortstop for Seton Hall.
Talk about somebody who had a phenomenal trip down to South Carolina. Slash 467, get this, 467, 529, slugged 800. She had the walk-off two-run double against Winthrop on the 28th of February. And she leads the team in RBIs with 12.
Froze there on the breaking ball. Patchen with a really good one there on the front door. Kind of brushed Perez off. Even count at 2-2. That one lined right to Schultz, who steps on first. And a hard hit ball doesn't result in much for Seton Hall. 2 outs now as Patchen has found a groove here.
Yeah, phenomenal play by Schultz there to get out in front. That one had a lot more heat to it. Gets out in front of it. Schultz got the easy play. And just like that, 2 up, 2 down. And that's kind of Manny, like we said, in terms of keeping up with pace. They had the runners on, even despite the goose egg in the last inning. So far, they're looking down the barrel of a 3 up, 3 down. Looking to change that here.
L'Oreal Blake at the plate. He's got a single and a few RBIs. Now she's down 0-2. Keep in mind, this is her first start as a freshman. Was given the responsibility of being the designated player for the Seton Hall team in their home and conference opener. Patchen is able to get the 1-2-3 inning. She retires the side in order after the foul out. Creighton stays ahead 13-5. They put up a 0 in the bottom half of the third.
Next.
Back now, top half of the fourth. Dupuis goes back to the rubber for Seton Hall as she looks to do her best impression of Brooklyn Patchen, who's put up back-to-back zeros for Creighton. Leading things off for the Blue Jays is number 19, Avery Barnard, the right fielder. So Dupuis, who has a solid opportunity here to get a few outs and improve her season statistics. And you see her down 2-0 right now, and that's been her issue, the walk. She surrendered over 15 free passes in just 9 1/3 innings pitched, and it's put her in a lot of trouble. Gets back in the zone there with the fastball.
Yeah, you brought up before, Manny, obviously the whip is kind of the number that jumps off the page with her, not in the best of ways. And, like you said, too, before with Brooklyn Patchen, I feel like that's kind of what Coach Wood for Creighton brought up. The hitting's done its part. The pitching's been phenomenal through 2 innings now, and Dupuy looking to mirror that.
So Barnard, who's having an excellent season, stands at the plate. 3-1 now. That one below the knees. So a walk for Barnard. Obviously, Creighton not just looking for the W. They have a good shot at the mercy rule if they're able to tack on a few runs, which they feel good about with the top of their order up here. Zoe Greenwood now stands at the plate. Dupuy gets ahead 0-1.
I brought up that game. You got to go back to late part of February. I believe it was February 21st was the game. Creighton won 20-11. They started that game down 8-zip, and you kind of saw the fight back mentality that we kind of saw them.
That one grounded to short. Perez will step on it, throw on the first, in time, double play. As Perez got the force out at second unassisted. It'll be a 6-3 double play. And 2 outs now for Dupuy after that walk is wiped very quickly.
Yeah, that was beyond huge. You shut me up there. I was talking about, Creighton kind of going, pedal to the metal in that regard, and all of a sudden Dupuy with the biggest 2 outs Seton Hall's gotten today to wipe the bases.
Perez so smooth at short. You saw that replay. Just kind of opened up the hips after stepping on the bag. And with the flick of the wrist there, sidearm, puts it right to the chest of DeMarco. Secured 2 outs. At the plate is the catcher, Lily West. That's a strike for Dupuy, who's now ahead 0-2. She's looked really sharp today.
100%. And you said it too, Manny. I think the command's kind of been a little bit of a problem, but other than that, when she's able to lock in that bat and kind of get back into it.
That one will be over the head of the second baseman, but able to track it down is the right fielder, Martinez. Avoids extra bases for West, who nonetheless is able to get a single there.
Yeah, Lily West, the senior catcher, tacks on her 281 average going into today.
That ball is way out of reach for Hobbs. And Martinez, just a sophomore, got a good jump.
But just kind of
was able to cut it off.
Kind of to finish my point about the Creighton game, so they were down 9-zip after the second inning. They tacked on an 8 spot of their own and all of a sudden went on to go win that game by 9. I feel like you kind of see a similar sense from this game. The fact that, you escape a first inning with a 3-run lead where you go through the entirety of your lineup, your 9-hitter, and L'Oreal Blake, her first start of the year, brought like a sense of momentum, a sort of juice to the lineup. You saw how fired up she was on second base, and just to kind of squander it a half inning later just kind of felt like a severe missed opportunity. But to kind of put a bow on all this, you got to make sure this game gets to a complete 7-inning game, man. You brought up the MR word, mercy rule.
Yeah.
You want to avoid that territory and make sure you give yourself the most opportunities to get back into this ballgame.
Dupuy throws one below the knees. So it'll be a ball. 2-1 is the count. Like you said, Ross, want to see Dupuy get in a rhythm here. Stolen base attempt is in time for the out, and Seton Hall, after surrendering a walk and a single, they got a double play and a caught stealing. So 13-5 is the score as Dupuy keeps them put. Creighton up 8 after a clean inning from the Pirates. So Seton Hall will look to get things done offensively. Back to the top of the order for them. It's Angelina Benitez, the lefty, who steps up to the plate. That was Aaron Howard's first caught stealing of the year. So the senior showed off the rope behind the plate and was able to put Seton Hall back in the dugout.
I think that's the product of just clean, fundamental fielding too, right? You obviously you get the caught stealing. You don't really have. You're not kicking and throwing the ball all over the infield, missing tags and whatnot. Just able to, sometimes all it takes, because kind of all it took for Creighton going into that second inning was a goose egg of their own. Maybe that's all it takes for the Pirates, and they kind of use that as a source of momentum now in the bottom half of this fourth inning.
Benitez ahead 1-0.
Looking to replicate what she did down in South Carolina. She's had a hit in all but 2 games this season to this point. Today's been no different.
Strike number 1. Yeah, Benitez obviously started things off with that single up the middle. And it looked like the Pirates were on their way to a good game. A lot has changed since then.
Swing and bunt there, I mean, it goes without saying Benitez's ability to put bat on ball. You kind of, Manny, if we're talking about kind of getting rallies going, you kind of got to want to eye up middle of the field here. Just get on base one way or another. Maybe even do what Pearson did in that second inning. Maybe lay down a bunt, but I feel like at this point in the at-bat, that's kind of out of the equation.
Yeah, now with Creighton up, you see Benitez thinking of kind of a slap hit there as her 2-strike approach. But with Creighton up, you see their infield not as in as usual, at least their middle infield. They come in during the pitch. Benitez slaps that one. Second baseman is able to make a sliding play. What a job from Vanwater.
Just a phenomenal sliding play there by Vanwater, and that's kind of what I was saying. Eyeing up middle of the field. Benitez did just that. Vanwater just made a better play.
Vanwater with the backhand there. You see the replay. Is able to, from her knees, make the throw. And Benitez was out by a step. What a job. Knowing your runner, getting it out right away. Smooth transfer from her knees. First out of the inning as Patchen still in business here. She's really gotten into an impressive rhythm. One-0. That one slapped foul.
Brennan looking to eye up opposite field. Just in terms of the Pirates, I feel like if you go down the pecking order of this lineup, just get people on base, get some sort of offensive mojo flowing. That's what Creighton did, putting up the 7th spot. Because obviously in this ballpark too, you're not going to see a lot of balls flying over the fence. You kind of got to work the ends of the field, and that's what Creighton did. Pirates looking to replicate it.
Brennan checked her swing there. Wasn't able to get the call. Was Patchen, who was looking to get ahead there, 1-2. Instead, she's down 2-1. That one lined. Foul ball. That was a close one. Not sure if we have a decent angle of that. But that ball was smoked from Brennan.
I thought for sure that clipped above the base. Maybe kind of like you said, the safety bag, the green bag that's in foul territory. Close play nonetheless.
That one in the dirt. Yeah, and Seton Hall really hasn't gotten blown out a ton this year. I would say twice. Obviously against Georgia they lost 9-1, and then against Stetson 12-2. So they haven't really let many games get out of hand. That one clipped the outside part of the plate. Brennan gets the backwards K, and oh my goodness, Patchen has really gotten in a groove here for Creighton.
Patchen stepped up when they needed her most, absolutely. I think also the fact, too, to go back to your point, Manny, in terms of the blowout losses, if anything, they've had a lot of blowout wins to their record that you kind of think almost they have that mentality of, they get up early, kind of maintain a lead and kind of ride the course with it. And to kind of let this one go as early as they did is kind of not necessarily what we've seen all year from them to this point.
Yeah, a little uncharacteristic. And with some of the plays we've seen, we talked to Churchill. We mentioned earlier how she said that the losing streak was more of a mental thing than it was physical, that they kind of let loose a little bit during this 5-game winning streak. But it's kind of different when conference play starts. And you'd like to think maybe, first game at home, first game against a Big East opponent, maybe they tightened up a little bit now. And as this season goes along and as this series goes along, you still got 2 games left to play against Creighton. Maybe they'll loosen up, kind of get the jitters out of the way. Because a few uncharacteristic defensive plays, obviously, Jinex, you mentioned she was a stud in high school. And she's got so much potential, had that grand slam in South Carolina. She really hasn't been able to get into a consistent rhythm offensively. So you'd like to think that as the season goes along with a few of those young players with so much responsibility, they'll loosen up, get that confidence up, and it'll lead to more W's for Seton Hall. Right now, it's going to be hard to come back in this one.
No, I think you brought up too many. I think it's kind of the jitters of the home crowd, too, right? First game in front of the home crowd. I mean, the records literally and figuratively reset in terms of the conference play column, 2-0-0.
That one over the head of the shortstop. It goes behind the left fielder Greenwood. Extra bases for DeMarco, who will slide into third.
There's a little bit of a spark there, the 3-bagger from DeMarco.
Excuse me, that was actually Jinex.
Jinex, yep.
The freshman gets her first extra base hit of this ball game. First hit. She had 2 strikeouts going into that at bat and is able to catch a break after Greenwood dove and wasn't able to keep it in front of her. So instead of what would have been a routine single after the line drive to left, turned into 3 bags for her. So now Sophia DeMarco is at the plate. She wasn't earlier.
Jumped the gun on that one a little bit. And I think, I believe Jinex is the perfect example of what we were just talking about, a little bit of the jitters. We saw her flailing at pitches even as early as the first at-bat when they were, pushing towards that early lead. And we're talking about a player in Jinex who was tearing the cover off the ball a couple of weeks ago down in South Carolina. I mean, this is legitimately her being a freshman, her debut here on home soil. First conference game, so it's kind of like I said, the records reset in a way, and all of a sudden the lights get brighter, and this is kind of like where you finally start to shine. All the invitationals and whatnot at a conference are kind of done away with, and this is where the games kind of get real, and I think we kind of saw that out of the gates with Jinex, but what better way to kind of get a spark underneath her than that 2-out triple there.
It's also first cold game.
Yep.
Which is a factor after spending time in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. And this is a classic early March Northeast ball game in terms of weather. That one right up the middle. DeMarco gets another RBI. 13-6 now as Seton Hall chips away with a run of their own. So the dive from Greenwood cost her team. Sets up the run for the Pirates.
Squared that one up perfectly. Patton saw it whiz by her face, just had no shot at making the play there. And, hard hit single by DeMarco. 1 by 1, if you look at bat by bat, kind of slowly but steady kind of get back into this if you're the Pirates.
Naya Martinez now at the plate is down 0-1. And it's not like Seton Hall has had terrible at-bats. I mean, obviously they have 6 runs, but they've been running the bases well. They've made a lot of solid contact, and when they've put the ball in play, they've made good things happen. Corkscrew off the end of the bat from Martinez. Patchen gets the easy out. Creighton surrenders a run. 13-6, Pirates down 7 after 4. We're back now. Top half of the 5th inning. Kaylin Schultz will lead things off for her squad as Dupuis takes the ball once again after a solid inning where she gave up a walk. Perez able to back her with the double play. Got a K. Got a caught stealing from Howard.
It's going to be
her first of the year.
It's going to be key for Dupuis to lock in and kind of replicate what she did last inning. Obviously, a full team effort, in terms of Howard with the caught steal and whatnot. But Dupuis got to get a little bit of length here to kind of keep Kirschner off the books and kind of replicate what Patton's been able to do for Creighton.
Yeah, and that's one way to do it with that pitch. If she can live there on the front door with the breaking ball, she's going to have a lot of success. Again, on the inside part of the plate, Dupuis up 1-2 in the count. And again, the stuff is not a concern. It's not something that you worry about when you think of Dupuis. It's whether or not she's going to find the zone. And she's done a very good job of that so far in this game. And definitely to start this inning, really attacking the heart of the order for Creighton as Schultz stands in the box. And you like to see that.
I think she's been testing the waters a bit more on the inside part of the plate as well.
1-2 count. Goes back to the inside part, and you would have thought she'd get the call there. It looked very similar to the pitch that was called a strike before. Instead, she's going to have to try again here, 2-2. That one flared to Hobbs. Hobbs, off balance throw, makes the play. After picking up the one hopper, jam shot from Schultz. Schultz wants a review. She says she was safe, and they will indeed put on the headsets. But what a play from Hobbs. Saw the replay there.
I think Coach Wood may have a case. Either way, you said it too. Phenomenal effort by Hobbs on the backhanded scoop. Kind of in stride, able to make the play as close as it looked. I looked like she beat her by about a second. May also be one of those, if it's too close to call, too close to decipher, you stick with the call on the field.
Yeah.
We were on such a good run with the umpire reviews, too. We went, like 2.5 innings?
Yeah. This is kind of a nightmare for those fans who do not like to sit in the cold. You got a high-scoring game, a lot of walks, and a bunch of umpire reviews.
We got some blankets out in the crowd, kind of a bird's eye view. All you see are blankets and,
hoodies up.
Beanies, yeah.
Got people slouched over, trying to hug themselves, staying safe from the cold. And a bunch of straight faces with this review, too. And obviously, Seton Hall at home, they're down. Not a lot of parents.
Yeah, we're up to a football score at this point.
Yeah, no doubt.
13-6.
Yeah, so not a lot of parents from Omaha making the trip. This is like summertime.
Yeah.
For Nebraska, no? 43-ish degrees?
Around there, yeah, because, you got to think hard of the summer. I mean, it's boiling out there as opposed to around this area. That's where you kind of get the moderate temperatures. You got to think, maybe not so much Nebraska. You go a little a little more south than that. Texas area, Oklahoma, forget it. But I think when you look at we got a call here.
We'll see. See what the guys in blue elect to decide, and they say the call stands. Like you said, when it's so close, which we're seeing right here, see if we agree. I think she got her. It's so hard if you don't have that front angle to see when the ball officially enters the glove, but you don't expect umpires to be so ticky-tacky, especially when they initially called her out. So Dupuis gets the first out of the inning after the excellent play from Hobbs. Right back to it. She gets ahead on the first at bat after the review with the first pitch. Now at the plate is Keegan Mayhew.
I think when I saw that last review too, I think she had gotten there like a step prior. I think I was kind of more so focused on the glove, like you said, Manny. It's kind of a hard call to make though when you're looking at it from the back end.
And that's a play that second basemen aren't necessarily used to making. Prefer to kind of set your feet and flip it over. Hobbs has another opportunity here, and there she is right there. What a play. Ranging up the middle. Doesn't even step, just fields it with two hands. Quick transfer, fires it across her body, right to the chest of DeMarco. Hobbs showing off the glove in this inning.
Yeah, she's been great up until this play. I don't think there's going to be any question around that play. And, yeah, absolutely, Hobbs and DeMarco, you kind of notice a little bit of synergy between the two of them. And Hobbs has been great with the leather, even better with the arm.
That play or pitch is fouled behind the dugout of the Jays. And, yeah, I was actually saying it's hard. It's not as common to see second baseman kind of ranging in and throwing on the run off balance. That's more of a play that you see from the one on the right side of the infield towards the middle. It's more about having those feet set as you field and then firing across. Obviously a short throw, especially on the softball field.
Well, speaking of second base who've been flashing letter, we got Van Water at the plate now. She had a couple web gems of her own earlier on.
No doubt. Yeah, we've gotten some pretty questionable defensive plays and some really good ones.
It kind of evens out almost. And I think you brought up, Manny, kind of those questionable plays, I think you kind of look at as the reason why some of these offensive onslaughts, specifically on Creighton's end, came to be. I just think there was a lot of, defensive ineptitude on the Pirates' part. Maybe they were a little bit out of sync, like we said, kind of around, put a ball on all this. A little bit like the home opener jitters. They were kind of out of sync early on and looking to claw their way back into this.
The 1-2 to Vandwater. That one spiked way in front of the plate. And this is a bigger at-bat than you might think on the surface when it comes to it being a 13-6 ball game. But you want to see Dupuis get her confidence up, and she can do it right here. She's able to retire the side in order against a team that, they're 6-14, but they're also the reigning Big East championship finalists, I guess silver medalist you would say, if they lost in the big one. And that one hits the plate. Vandwater's going to round first. She's going to think about going to second. She stays at first. Hustle walk there from Vandwater.
Yeah, I think like we said too, I don't know if take with a grain of salt is the right expression, but you got all these invitationals. You're flying all over the country. A lot of regions of the country, at least, well, really both teams, but Creighton more so. The fact they're already kind of, on a island of their own in terms of geographically in the conference. They're flying Midwest, the, central part of the country, and then they open up conference play on the East Coast. And then as far as the Pirates go, like we said, they're on home turf, but it's for a lot of these girls, their first game period. Other ones who are sophomores, kind of like getting back into the gist of things. You kind of have only a few seniors that have done this multiple, years now.
Runner goes on the pitch in the dirt. Vandwater easily able to dive into second. So we mentioned how big it would have been for the confidence of Dupuis to get that out against Vandwater. Secure a 1-2-3 inning. Now she's going to get a talking to.
It was a weird play, too. I kind of clipped the front of the plate and bounced upward.
Yep. But again, Seton Hall, they're down 7, but I would argue they're more in this game than you would think with the way they've looked offensively, and they've seen good swings, good at bats, 1 through 9. They're at home. You would think if a few things go their way, confidence skyrockets. Obviously running out of time here, but
I thought the Blake at bat was key, and I think you brought it up at the time. How you saw her get the multi-run base hit up the middle, and you kind of saw her all fired up at second. It's her first start, freshman year, and I thought that was a perfect opportunity to kind of like pounce from that point forward, kind of capitalize on that momentum, and it just completely 180'd.
no doubt about it. Erica Perez at the plate. She rolls that one over. It's to Hobbs again. Hobbs flips it over to DeMarco and gets the third out of the inning. Keeping the second baseman busy was Dupuis as she surrenders a hit, gets out of it, or a walk, gets out of it unscathed. A 0 for the Pirates. Back-to-back zeros for them. They still find themselves down 7. Is not up. We're back here in the bottom half of this 5th inning. Pirates down 7, and we mentioned how important that at bat was against Vandewater, and it wasn't just thinking about momentum or the chances of Seton Hall coming all the way back, but if they would have been down 8 going into this inning and Creighton would have secured a 0, that would have been the end of the ball game. Instead, Creighton will have to do some more damage offensively to put Seton Hall away, at least if they want to do earlier than in 7 innings. That one went off the glove of Barnard, who wasn't able to secure it in foul territory. So getting another chance is the senior Aaron Howard, who's down 0-1.
And I think, too, if you're thinking big picture, too, kind of like you brought up the fact that the Pirates kind of didn't get a full look of Gilney, and the fact that she kind of got taken out of the game early. So big picture, the fact that you don't really have a sense of her repertoire down the line. On that note, Dupuis, whose numbers were kind of, I don't want to say the worst out of the 4, but objectively they were, for her to be the one to kind of get the boat kind of level the waters, that could be big down the road and kind of get her season back on the map too.
No doubt. 1-2 is the count. Patchen looking to keep things going on the mound. Has done a wonderful job since she's come into this game. And thinking bigger picture here for Seton Hall, obviously they got what I would say one of the better coaches in all the Big East in Churchill, and I would say she's also very underrated nationally. Has a Big East championship under her belt in 2023. That one flied over to center, out number 1. But going back to Coach Churchill, she inherited kind of a disastrous program, obviously. In 2022, went from 9 wins to 20 plus, then followed that up in 2023 with a Big East championship in just her second season. And ever since, they've been excellent at home. They went 17-5 last year in this park, Mike Shepard Senior Field, and she mentioned her girls would be ready to play. Obviously, a more intense atmosphere than they've played in this season. And even though, obviously, things have not gone well so far in this ball game, you'd expect with the way she runs things. And that one lined into the gap. It'll be extra bases for Hobbs, who's had a wonderful game thus far, defensively and offensively. And goes back to it. These girls don't quit, and it's because they take after their coach, who is not afraid of having her back against the wall and turning things around, whether it's big picture of an entire program, whether it's during a season or even during a ball game. They show a lot of resilience, and it has to do with Coach Churchill.
Yeah, you use the word resilience, kind of like a sense of urgency that you never really see disappear. I'll kind of echo what you're saying about Coach Churchill. Saying she only knows success wherever she's been is kind of an understatement. She's only ever had winning seasons here. You brought up the national title in 2023, or at least the Big East title. Yeah, my fault.
Not yet.
Who knows? Maybe down the road.
Yeah.
But obviously the conference title, Big East title in 23, and then just like her previous stops, had a couple winning seasons with Wagner prior to her stint here. And then, like you said, Manny, this was a program that there's no other way to put it. They were in disarray. And the complete 180 that she was at the forefront of, and now you're seeing a program that reaps the benefits of her hard work.
So she also inherited a Howard program that before she got there went 4-45. That's what she inherited.
I didn't think you could do that if you tried to.
Yeah, and they won double-digit games the next season and were a middling team in their conference, which to go from probably one of the worst D1 programs in the entire nation to a decent team is a lot, obviously, and very impressive. She's found a solid home here at Seton Hall as well. And although last year didn't go the way they wanted, thinking bigger picture, they were still a very quality team in the Big East. That one, high fly ball towards the left side. Play is made for the second out of the inning. Zoe Greenwood coming in on that one, called off Pearson. That'll be L'Oreal Blake trying to get her second hit of the ball game. Another coach who's used to turning programs around is Wood. This is they're coming off their first back-to-back 30-win season since 2010. And obviously has a lot to do with her. They got to a Big East championship game, weren't able to win, but they obviously have become one of the more respected programs in the Big East. We mentioned how they were second in the preseason poll, and there weren't much expectations for Seton Hall. They were 7th coming into the year, and a lot of it probably had to do with so many unknowns on the squad, so many young players taking on big roles, and we see the talent, that's for sure. But maybe mentally, kind of not all the way there. And if they can pick things up and be quick learners during this season, I would say Seton Hall definitely has enough talent to make some noise in the Big East. They're playing a very quality team, and they look like they were going to run away with this one after the first inning. Hasn't been the case after falling behind big. You really want to see one of those other arms step up, though, other than Crucier.
100%. I think it's actually key that it's Dupuis, not to rhyme in that sense, but the fact that not to get on her, but we saw the ERA in double digits, we saw the whip kind of jump off the page, and for her to kind of steady this mess, I think big picture could kind of have a ripple effect in a good way. Like you said, it kind of starts between the ears. We obviously know that the loads of talent top to bottom in the lineup, the pitching staff goes without saying, but when you have, for speaking on both programs, with Coach Churchill, what she's done with numerous programs, Coach Wood and her multiple stops, and kind of establishing Creighton as a top-notch program as recent as last year, albeit losing in the conference championship, but getting there nonetheless. You don't really sense any panic or early panic for either of these programs. Both currently sub 500 at the moment. Creighton's being in a wider sample size, but like we keep saying, this was a team that was in the conference championship last year. There's a ton of season ahead of them.
That one in foul territory. Schultz makes the play for the third out of the inning. Creighton still up 13-6. Another 0 for Patchen. That's her third 0 of this ball game, keeping her team ahead. We'll be back for the top half of the 6. So we're back. Short break in between innings. Obviously, Dupuis is warm. She knows what she's doing out there. Creighton still up 7 runs. As we mentioned earlier, if they go up 8, then they'll just have to get 3 outs without surrendering a run in the bottom half of their 6 to steal the first game of this series. At the plate is the center fielder, Ella Dalton, who will lead things off in the 6th. That one off the plate for a ball.
And you see Coach Churchill keeping the faith in her junior righty, who hasn't had the best of years to start this campaign. And how could you not? Like we're saying, Manny, right? She's been money these last couple innings. Pitch count isn't even that much of a worry, if there even is one, given the fact that they're coming off a near week of a break in between travel and whatnot off the Invitational. She's been money up until this point.
No doubt that one slapped the other way, right to the left fielder, Brennan. Can of corn for her. First out of the inning. As you said, Dupuis, again, continuing the trend of getting outs, getting pretty quick outs, which, as we mentioned, it's been tough for her, considering the fact that she gets behind in the count a lot. And she's not going to be a strikeout machine, not many today, but she can definitely generate soft contact. And although that ball was hit pretty hard, you like the fact that she put it in the zone and it ended up in the glove of a Pirate.
And maybe that's what's kept the pitch count in check. I mean, if we just go back to last inning, we kind of giving Carolyn Hobbs a run for her money and kind of making her day a little more busy than it had to be. All 3 putouts, had the base hit later in the inning, but the fact that, like you said, Manny, a lot of those kind of like soft grounders, keeping it in the infield, not really kind of that last at bat was the anomaly, but we're able to speak on it because it wound up being an out nonetheless. But for the most part, kind of reducing, exit velocity off the bat and kind of keeping the ball in the infield is kind of what's kept this leash as long as it's been for Dupuis.
2-0 count. Shows bunt. Pearson has to pull it back. Almost got drilled there. Mentioned Pearson has got a single on the bunt. Also a triple. Hasn't been the most successful offensive season for her, but she really sparked things for this Creighton squad. Started things off in that second inning with that 7 spot batted around.
And when you're analyzing an offensive approach, if you could get your 9-hitter on base,
which they do.
Yeah, I mean, at least with this one is 1 out recorded. But like that first appearance with the first bunt, leadoff 9-hitter gets on base. That's usually a sign of bad things to come. Wound up being a sign of disastrous things to come. But overall, for Pearson being kind of like the bona fide 9-hitter, her ability to work counts, kind of know her role is not kind of having to sling it across the diamond. She could just kind of, play the small ball type of role, and it's worked flawlessly today and for the most part so far for her this year.
No doubt, and if she can play good defense, be a solid presence in the bottom of the order in that double leadoff role in the 9-hole, and also be a threat on the base paths. Obviously, if you're Coach Wood, you'd be thrilled with seeing her play more games like she has today as she tries to get second. Howard not able to get the throw in time. Looked pretty close from here. Throw definitely beat her. Not a quick enough tag from Perez. Not sure if they're going to go back to the review here.
Yeah, I don't know if Perez had enough time to kind of gather the ball, apply the tag. Throw definitely beat her. You're right on that. I'm not sure she got the tag, though. Kind of snow-coned it as well, too, on the comebacker.
Yeah, didn't catch it too cleanly. Probably why she wasn't very confident in swiping that tag and putting it on her quick. Lee, first pitch. Excuse me, no, not the first pitch. First pitch after the stolen base is fouled off, so 1-2 count. So it's Dupuis looking to keep Pearson on the bases. And she threatens to steal third. Very aggressive leads from her.
A little bit of motion, yeah, and there really wasn't a Pirate near her on second base, but played the safe game. Didn't test Howard behind the dish. That's another thing that could go a long way as well, too, Manny. The first caught stealing on the season for Howard.
And that one flied into left center field. Brennan makes the play for out number 2. Again, she's made both plays in this top half of the 6th. Let's see after the 5th inning. Cullum was responsible for all 3 outs, and she won't be because Pearson took off for third. She thought she was going to catch Dupuis sleeping, and Jinex was ready. They saw it the whole way through. Creighton gifts an out to the Pirates. We'll see if they carry that momentum to the bats and put up a few runs. We'll be back in the bottom half of the 6th. Back here for the bottom of the 6th, and we're going to play all 7 innings today after Creighton wasn't able to score Pearson, who kind of gave herself up. Obviously didn't intend to, but tried to make a heads-up play, which, by the way, there's no need to. And kind of the cardinal sin in baseball and softball is never make the first or the last out at third. So she's definitely going to get a talking to up 7 trying to do that. Benitez slaps one the other way, and she is not able to get to the bag in time. Wonderful play from Erica Perez and a great stretch from Schultz to secure the out.
Heads up play by Patton, too, to duck. I mean, I thought there was going to be a collision there with him down.
Yeah, Patchen wanted to definitely not be in the way of that throw that was roped over to first from Perez. So first out of the inning comes via the ground out as Seton Hall not able to take advantage so far of having Benitez lead off. So it'll be Brennan, who made a few solid plays in left field. Try to do it with the bat now.
I think one last thing just to add back to your point about Pearson. I think there's a difference between being aggressive and being silly. And I think when you got the 7-run lead, is it, entirely, going to come back to bite you? Probably not. Emphasis on the probably. But, I mean, at the same time, like, what is the point? At best, you move 90 feet. I mean, are you with that?
With
in
2
that
outs?
Much of a
Yeah.
rush? 2 outs.
Already a quick runner, so anything that gets past the infield is a run.
And are you really that, keen focused on the mercy rule? It's not like you have a lack of faith in your pitching staff. You have Brooklyn Patton going, 3+ innings. Has been untouchable.
It's just kind of, there's really no situation where you would even want to see that or that you would need that from Pearson unless, it's kind of a 1-run game maybe with less than 2 outs. You try that. If it's like 1-0 and you can't score. But Creighton's been raking the ball today. Seton Hall hasn't done a bad job themselves. Decent ride from Katie Brennan. Instead, it ends in an out. But, as I was saying earlier, with the way the bats have looked from Creighton, it's just kind of made no sense there, especially with 2 outs.
Yeah, like I just don't understand the benefit of it. You brought up a great point with the 2 outs, Manny. It's like the risk isn't worth the reward. I mean, sure, like I said too, it's not like the pressure is high given that you got the 7-run lead. It just felt like kind of like a moot play there. And at the end of the day, like you said, Manny, you're gonna get a talking to when you walk. You went from wanting the extra 90 feet to taking the walk of shame back to the dugout.
Well, less than 90 here in softball. But again, point was definitely received, and we'll see. Because coaches, even if you get a big win like this on the road, obviously season hasn't gone well, you always want to look for things that you can get better on. And they'll always nitpick, even after so much success, to kind of keep the team humble and feel like we need to win this series, which they will either way. But it kind of adds a little bit more intensity probably, or gives Wood an excuse to be more intense post-game. DeMarco, 4th time on base for her after the walk. That's her 2nd base on balls today. Also got 2 hits, so she has been wonderful offensively. That's Jinex. That's her 2nd time on base. She had the triple earlier, and now the walk. Not sure why I keep confusing. That's the second time.
That's the second time, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worked for Jinex. We keep making that mistake.
I gotta keep calling. Yeah, if I
I
call her DeMarco, maybe we make that a thing through the season. Definitely not. We're not making that a thing. Sorry.
It's like the Players Weekend thing where you got like the different
the
names
nicknames.
on the jerseys.
Yeah.
The old switcheroo. Nah, but I think you're absolutely right. Just to kind of hammer that point home with Coach Wood. I mean, that's like the winning recipe that both coaches, for that matter, kind of bring. Kind of like that no nonsense in the clubhouse type mentality. And I think at the end of the day, when you have a coach with as much of a winning resume as Wood, I think that play boils down to nonsense more than anything. But, if you're Pearson, Wood and company, you kind of hope you kind of brush that under the rug and hope it's a no harm, no foul when it's all said and done.
1-2 is the count. 2 outs in this bottom half of the 6th. That one way off the plate. And you go ahead, Russ.
No, you're good. Just really quick, Patton's hasn't lost her luster in terms of getting ahead in these counts. I mean, she's been able, more often than not, you see her on a 2-strike count, kind of painting the corners. She's been able to do that throughout these innings without like any sense of fatigue building up.
Yeah, she's got 4 innings pitched on her line. Only 1 run, 2 walks in those 4 innings with 3 Ks and 2 extra base hits allowed. So obviously she's been throwing a lot of strikes. And Seton Hall not really able to capitalize. And if you would have told us that this is the way the game would have gone for Creighton after Gilman came out of the game quickly, probably wouldn't have believed you. That's going to be right to the shortstop, Pearson, who will secure the 3rd out of the inning. 13-6, another 0 for Creighton. We'll be back in the top of the 7th inning. Coming back now for the top of the 7th inning. Dupuis stays on the mound as she looks to finish her day on a high note, which she's been pretty solid throughout this ball game. She's got her hands full with Zoe Greenwood leading off, the 2-hitter for this Creighton squad, who's had some success in this game. Dupuy doesn't get ahead. That pitch high.
I think to add to your point, Manny, in terms of if you would have told me blank earlier on, I wouldn't have believed it. If you would have told me in, what would you say, the second inning, going into the third inning, if we wouldn't have another pitching change after that point, I probably would have called you crazy. And yet Patton and Dupuy, respectively, have been able to right the ship. We've only had one run in the last 3.5 innings.
Yeah, and it's also been in part thanks to some solid defense on both sides. That one right up the middle, base hit for Greenwood. We've seen a lot of textbook hitting from both squads, especially Creighton, obviously, which is why they've scored 13 runs. But Greenwood saw a few risers and then stayed back on that breaking ball, just slapped it right up the middle, was able to adjust, kept the hands back. Nice swing there.
Yeah, worked the middle part of the infield. I think it's kind of like a tone setter in terms of getting some sort of offensive momentum going, and that's Blue Jays did just that.
West, diving, Jinex, goes off her glove. She'll have no play at first, so almost a highlight play. That's the second diving attempt for Jinex that goes right off her glove.
Yeah, other one was more so leaning towards the shortstop side of things. This was in foul territory. Solid effort both times. It kind of boils back down to the fact that you got a freshman playing marquee, in a marquee spot of your lineup at the hot corner. It's like, the effort's there. These are just tough plays. And like I said, effort's been there. It just hasn't been able to capitalize on some of these grounders.
Saw the replay there. Reaction was good. It just went right off the pocket of her glove.
That one was definitely a much tougher play. I think that would have, even if she did corral it and get the throw off, I think West would still probably beat her out. But
Fouled back. Dupuy gets ahead. And she hasn't really gotten into much trouble. Yeah, she has put some traffic on the bases, but this is, with no outs here and 2 runners on, the most adversity she's faced in a while. 0-1 is the count. That one deep to left field, but foul. I would say that one had the distance from Schultz, who hit that with some emphasis. Instead, she's down 0-2, nothing to show for it.
Hooked it a little bit left, definitely had the oomph to it. You could just hear it straight off the bat. Schultz just hooked it a little too foul, though.
The 0-2. In the dirt. Good stop there from Howard. Just kind of picked it. Didn't have to block it. The 1-2 coming on its way from Dupuy, who's looking to get a ground ball here. She instead gets a strikeout, and she'll definitely take that. First out of the inning comes via a swinging K for Dupuy, who retires Schultz.
The break on that was just filthy. You kind of see it look like it clipped the bottom end of the zone, but gets Schultz to chase nonetheless. Dupuy's been cooking. Looks like she's not slowing anytime soon.
Marquee hitter, obviously, Schultz, who's had a good game. She had her off balance there. It's always nice to make hitters look like that. Makes you feel good as a pitcher. 1-0 is the count to Keegan Mayhew. That one low. She's not biting.
I think now, if you find yourself at a spot like Coach Churchill's currently in at the moment, you get through this inning, you preserve Kaya Krusher for the entirety of this game, have her fully rested for what you would assume would be tomorrow's matchup. You have Dupuy, who's obviously energy tank near the bottom now, but you're feeling a lot better about her as the rest of the season and conference play rolls on. You really didn't get a lot out of Wakely in terms of a pitch count, so she should probably be good to go at some point, whatever part of the game tomorrow.
The 2-1 is taken for ball number 3.
I mean, you brought it up, Manny. It goes without saying what Dupuy's been able to do to kind of muster up these last couple innings of this game. All final score and box score aside, just the fact that she's been able to kind of eat these last few innings up is going to really make some tough decisions a lot easier for Churchill in these next couple of matchups.
Yeah, no, that's what you hope for in a blowout is get quality innings eaten from whoever comes out in relief. 3-2 now as Creighton is looking to provide some insurance here. The 3-2 is fouled off. So last year when these two teams played, Creighton swept the Pirates over at Omaha, and Seton Hall won the series the season before that. So 2-3 in their last 5 matchups. And obviously Creighton has won 3 straight against the Hall. That one down off the plate, so bases are loaded now again. An opportunity for Vandwater to add to the score column for Creighton. And Creighton is 7-7 in their program's history here in South Orange. So obviously if they secure this W, they'll be able to go over 500 here in Jersey.
That's got to be a tough trip, and I know across all sports where Creighton and Seton Hall meet each other, through conference play year by year. You look at Creighton, it goes without saying they're not in the eastern part of the country, but just the fact that even other nearby schools, I think Marquette's the nearest school. They're a couple states away. And then how often they got to make this trip to the East Coast to play Seton Hall, Villanova, Providence, St. John's, even UConn. I mean, they're already kind of beyond the 8 ball in that regard, and that's not even talking about all these invitationals. They're in non-con down in Colorado and Texas and California. If you even look at the layout of their roster, you see a lot more variety in terms of where people are from. You have, I believe, Lily West is from Texas. Lily West from Oklahoma. Zoe Greenwood, the freshman's from Texas. Only a couple players on the team hailing from in-state in Nebraska.
And a stat for Creighton fans to go home feeling good. They've won their conference opener in the history of their program 24 times. And in 21 of those 24 seasons, they finished over 500. And obviously with Wood, that's kind of what you expected going into the year. But after a 6-14 start, that put it a little bit in doubt. But after this win, you think maybe Creighton can take off in conference play and they can continue that trend. In the 15 years where they've lost their conference opener, they finished under 500 8 times. So this game, more important than I guess you would think, which obviously that's a funky stat because if you win your conference opener, it probably means you're good. But either way, you want to go away with as much optimism as possible if you're Creighton. So Vandwater walked, which tallies another run for the road team. It's 14-6.
And I think it's softball more than any other sport. You know, you have kind of like the cliche, like one game at a time, 1-0 type mentality. But, you know, in the back of your mind, you got to factor in pitch counts and workloads and whatnot for your pitching staff. So I know Dupuis kind of hit a rough patch to this point. And like you said, man, you're kind of now out of the mercy rule territory. But the fact that she had gotten the Pirates to this point, basically nearly flawless, I think goes without saying that it's going to have a ripple effect of positivity, you know, in the coming weeks for Coach Churchill.
The 0-2 to Erica Perez. That one inside and low. So Dupuis has given up 2 runs now in her outing, which is not a bad thing at all, considering the amount of innings that she's pitched. But again, has gotten in trouble because of the base on balls. And another wild pitch there. That will lead to a run for the Blue Jays as West slides in easily. And Dupuis has kind of lost control here.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the wheels are completely coming off now. Ella Howard have been nearly flawless with the balls in the dirt, pitches in the dirt. in terms of her blocking, and that's kind of the first one to get away from her. You had that other one was like that freak bounce in front of the plate, but can't really get on her for that one.
There. Count is full. That one smoked to center field, and it'll go over the head of Benitez, off the wall. Extra bases for Perez, who clears the bases, and she stands on second with a couple of RBIs. Puts her team up 11 now, 17-6.
And now it's been all Creighton in this inning. Goes without saying. You kind of notice I'm not sure there was a sense of momentum given the fact that you kind of saw both teams exchanging zeros for the last couple innings, but now Creighton going back to their ways of just one at bat at a time, kind of just putting bat on ball and seeing if you can move runners, and it's giving them a 4 spot, and they're looking to do even more damage.
Yeah, and that's really the first ball that was hit with a ton of authority in this inning. At least that was in fair territory.
It probably gets out if you don't have that second layer of the fence. It hit.
Yeah.
I guess there's like a little bit of
some pad in there.
Indent or something, yeah. For it to
I thought
go
it was
upward.
gone, but it was not, obviously. So Perez almost had a homer. Instead, she'll settle for a 2 RBI double. Would have had 3 if they didn't steal home there on the wild pitch. That was West running the bases. Flare over to left field, bounces in front of Brennan. Throw on to third is not in time. Jinex not able to get the tag down on the runner, Perez. So another opportunity to get a throwing out at third base. Instead, after the throw beater was not able to secure the out. So still 1 away.
If you don't wipe the bases clean on that last at bat, you gotta force out at third. It's kind of like all in terms of opportunities and whatnot, situationally how you play out these bases.
So we got a pinch hitter, Karina Trevino, who's hitting .077 on the year. The junior gets her first opportunity in conference play off the bench. She comes in for Ashton Pearson, and it's a blowout. So you don't want to think that Pearson got benched just because of that base running error, but it made it a little easier for Coach Wood to make that decision, I would say.
And I think we were talking about, too, it's kind of like that tough love element. Obviously at some point there's kind of like that no-nonsense mentality, and maybe Coach Wood's using Pearson as an example of, down the road, it's one thing you do this in a 7-8 run ball game. It's another thing if there's a more situationally risky opportunity and you still have that what you think is aggression in the back of your mind, but it's really just reckless.
Yep. And
just kind of nip that in the bud now where, like, at the end of the day, it was a low-risk move. You just don't want to convey that message. But, down the road, if you try that in a 1-2 run game, like you said, even if you have less than 2 outs, but forget it with the 2 outs.
So DeMarco made that play in foul territory. So there's 2 outs now. 17-6 is still your score. Creighton has put up 4 runs in this half inning. Count is even at 1-1. And again, if you're Dupuis, yeah, obviously 7th inning didn't go the way you'd hoped, but still a lot to like for Coach Churchill as well. And to have that level of success against this Creighton lineup for a few innings where she definitely got into a good rhythm. And if this was a close game with a few walks, she wouldn't have stayed in.
Right.
Would have had Crucier come in. That one flied into center. That will go over the head of Benitez again. Extra bases for Barnard. Throw on to home. Perez not in time. Howard threatened a back pick to second, but no chance for her. So another RBI extra base hit for this Creighton squad, and they've really been putting it on the Pirates in the 7th inning.
I think this is kind of one of those examples where you look at numbers don't tell the entire story. Because now with this 7th inning, the ERA will probably get inflated back to around where it came in, or it was coming into today for Dupuis. But at the end of the day, you still look at this outing as a success. I mean, how could you not?
Yeah, it's not really going to show on the stat sheet. So her ERA going to go and stay high.
I feel like it would have dropped a run or two prior to this inning. You know,
Yeah,
if she had gone,
definitely.
2-3 innings plus? No run baseball, or no run softball?
We mentioned how Seton Hall not really used to getting blown out. They came into this game with a minus 13 run differential, which is not crazy compared to the Creighton run differential, which is minus 30. So they've gotten blown out a few times this year, and they're now kind of returning the favor, which they needed, and this game's going to help bring that run differential back down to earth. But again, a team that has averaged 4.5 runs scored per game, conference opener, on the road, against a Seton Hall team coming off 5 straight wins, and you put up 19 runs and counting on the board, it's got to feel awesome.
And I think situationally, too, like, yeah, there was that middle of the game where you didn't have a lot of offensive showing. But that 2nd inning, the fact that you put up the 2 runs, you get back down 3, and you put up a 7th spot, and the way you did it, too, just kind of moving runner after runner after runner. Like we were saying before, good luck trying to hit one out of this park. With this wall, I mean, sky high up to the top of the Mike Shepard Sr. Scoreboard and left. But just being able to move runner after runner. And it all started, I think, funny enough, we're kind of getting on Pearson now in the back few innings of this game, but that 7-run second doesn't happen without her, yep.
No doubt.
And I just think that was kind of the point of no return for the Pirates.
So someone who's very familiar with doing damage for this Creighton squad stands at the plate. That one off the strike on the plate, 1-1 now. Lily West, the catcher, had a few big hits today, obviously. Scored home earlier on the wild pitch, so Creighton has batted around again.
This is her sixth at bat. A little bit of a tongue twister on that one, but yeah, I just think in that 2nd inning, I think we saw it. Another one up
does
the
more
middle.
damage there. Base hit. It'll be another RBI. 20 runs for the Blue Jays. My goodness. What a performance offensively. A lot has to do with Lily West, the senior, who's had a wonderful game. Now Kaylin Schultz, first baseman, looking to do some more damage. You'd think Creighton now up 14, maybe go station to station here. But they weren't doing that there. It's been a long game today, Ross.
We were talking before, 2 o'clock first pitch. We looked, it was about a little less than 3:30 after the 2nd inning, and we kind of started smooth sailing in between, and now all of a sudden it's kind of shades of that early part of the game all over again.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now I wonder, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, do you think there's a sense of, in Coach Churchill's mind, at least my girls fought it out to avoid the mercy rule, fought it out to that 7th inning to even be able to play the 7th inning?
Well, I think maybe before the 7th inning,
right.
She was probably thinking that, especially with the way Dupuis was pitching, but definitely not now after giving up 7. I think this is just a game that you just throw in the trash and you say, season starts tomorrow, still have a chance to win a series.
Oh, 100%. You got to bury this one because, like you were just saying, too, we're looking at this Creighton team that was going into today on minus 30. All of a sudden, a game like this, you split that minus 30 in half.
Yep.
And you just put it in the rearview mirror. And that's kind of the other thing, too. You even look back at some of these recent years of Creighton softball. It's not like they started these years undefeated, like 1 loss, 2 loss. Like, yeah, they weren't 6-14, but they were like hovering a little bit above 500 in some of those seasons. And it's just all about kind of righting the ship when it matters most, there's no better time to do it than the start of conference play. And even on that note for Seton Hall, look, you didn't do it in the home opener. Go out and win the series. It's a 3-game series for a reason.
That one missed off the plate. Time is now called. Mayhew will stay taking the at-bat, but it'll be a pinch runner now for the Jays as Kalen Schultz's day officially ends. Coming in for Schultz is Lynn Davis, who is a junior outfielder and one of their go-to pinch runners as well. Hometown kid from Omaha, Nebraska. Gets a taste of conference play here in the 2026 season.
Lynn Davis kind of part of a trio of go-to pinch hitters off the bench. We already saw Cheeky Vasquez earlier on. You also have Emma Bailey, the freshman outfielder, when she does play the field. But Lynn Davis kind of in the mix of the go-to options off the bench, especially in this situation, this part of the game where you're kind of just trying to get looks towards other players.
Look at that scoreboard. So many crooked numbers for Creighton. That one will find the glove of Perez, and the Pirates finally get out of the inning. 7 runs surrendered in the top half of the 7th. Seton Hall looking to pull off a miracle when we get back. Back here for the bottom half of the 7th inning. Naya Martinez leading things off for the Pirates. (20-6) is the score. Really a nightmare game for the Pirates. This is the second time this season that Creighton scores 20 runs. If they hold the lead that they have right now, it'll be their biggest win in terms of deficit in the 2026 season as well. Or excuse me, in terms of a lead.
I think there's just that pedal to the metal type mentality. Maybe you didn't see it in the 4th through 6th inning, but 7th inning, they're like, all right, we didn't get the mercy rule. Let's kind of make the score look like it was a mercy rule, you know?
Yeah, and it looked like we were going to get a game similar to one they played against UConn last year, 22-18.
Barn burner.
Which Creighton lost. But Seton Hall couldn't keep up the pace offensively with this Creighton squad. Last time that they won by 14 runs or more was against Butler in the 2025 regular season, which they did at home. Martinez gets a single as she adds to what's been a wonderful season, continues to be a bright spot for Creighton.
On the horizon for the Pirates, you got a doubleheader with Wagner coming up. Coach Churchill's all stopped. You got a doubleheader on the 11th. Then the UConn Huskies come come to town for a 3-game set. This is, of course, all following the remaining 2 games of this set with Creighton. And then the Pirates hit the road. They go out to Ryder, and they have a doubleheader against Ryder on the 17th. Their first conference matchup on the road is out in Indianapolis when they take on Butler. But like we said, man, a lot of season left to go.
Smoked in the gap. Extra bases. Martinez will stay put at third. No need to test the arm of Pearson, who's back out at short. So, guess who? Erin Howard again, getting it done for the Pirates offensively. What a game for her. Coming into this game, she was 4 for 30, as we mentioned, and already has 2 extra base hits for the Pirates.
Yeah, the multi-hit day definitely bump up her average a little bit, and obviously her defensive prowess as well. She's a vital part of this team moving forward.
So some bright spots for Coach Churchill after this game. Obviously kind of hard to find with the way this one has gone, but you feel good about the way your senior has looked. A little bit of a breakout game for her in this 2026 season. Hobbs gets that off the end of the bat, and it goes off the glove of Vandwater. She does not have a play at first, elects to hold it, and Martinez scores after an E4.
That's surprising. Vanwater had been flashing the letter. We were just singing her praises, and Hobbs both at second all day. Kind of felt like they were flashing the leather. Don't know what happened on that one. Kind of not a routine pop, but felt like it was one she makes in her sleep.
Yeah, that was can of corn.
Yeah.
And again, she started this game with a few questionable defensive plays. And now towards the end of this one she's not used to. So Howard will sit down as Mayhew comes in as a courtesy runner for Seton Hall. So Howard would put on the gear if somehow Seton Hall musters up 13 more runs. And that's going to bloop in front of the center fielder. Another base hit for Seton Hall. No chance for Ella Dalton to make that play. And Seton Hall all of a sudden finding some holes.
Now this is where you're starting to look back and say, why did you have to give up those 7 runs in the top half? Because this is all of a sudden, what would it be? 13
to 7.
13, yeah, so you're about couple swings away from a tying run on base. And then you just let the wheels fall out from underneath you in the top half. I mean, who knows? Maybe 14's not impossible either.
We'll see. Who knows? But I would assume, especially if Blake gets on the board again with another hit, she fouls that one off. Seton Hall might roll out the same lineup tomorrow. The bats have not been the problem. You've seen tons of quality at bats. In fact, you probably would have wanted to see more from Benitez on the top half or Brennan. But they've really been excellent. The bats have not been an issue at all for Seton Hall.
I feel like if you had to nitpick a third of the lineup, you're right, probably the top third. And not even like that, they were necessarily the reason they lost. They were the furthest thing from the reason from it. Yeah, but I mean, you see Blake in her debut in terms of starting, her home opener as well. Ella Howard, we're just talking about her numbers overall aren't the greatest, but she had a phenomenal day today at least.
Yeah, she's been excellent.
Hobbs had a solid game all around. I think you just look at like the general defensive miscues and the fact that they weren't able to really answer in that bottom of the second.
Slow roller makes the play. Pearson, who gets Blake at first, but another RBI for Blake, who's going to go home with a decent day at the office, especially from the 9-hole.
We can't say enough good things about Brooklyn Patton. Talking about as good as Dupuy's been, Brooklyn Patton's been that and some in a winning effort.
Benitez at the plate takes ball 1. That one way up. The 1-0 to Benitez. chopped foul territory. But looked like that bounce was going to set up an easy double maybe for Benitez with the way she can run.
Yeah, it looks like it just clipped the chalk. Like you said, probably would have had an extra bag, but we reset.
Patchen, the junior, out of Anthony Wayne High School, has had an awesome game. That one chopped to the shortstop, Pearson, who makes a nice play on the short hop. Still another run for Seton Hall as Benitez gets an RBI ground out. Back-to-back RBI ground outs. Too little, too late, though, for Seton Hall.
I think kind of like we were saying about with Dupuis, too, obviously. Well, I guess they're not necessarily the same because you look at Dupuis was kind of riding the wave of the game still being somewhat in reach, but at least the moral positive of her looking good, even despite what the box score showed. At least if you could take something away from this, I guess, even though the top half of the inning, everything fell from within, underneath, at least you're still seeing some production from the lineup, and I guess it all kind of circles back to they're playing a little loose right now.
Yeah.
It's an 11-run, not to cut you off, but it's an 11-run ball game. They're playing loose, and that's kind of what we talked about with Coach before.
Yeah, and when we mentioned about the top of the order not being super duper wonderful, I would say they've been super wonderful because a lot of girls have gotten on base multiple times. So we're really trying to nitpick. The point was that 9 runs scored today. As you said, towards the end of this game, looked a lot looser after struggling against Patchen. And when they had pressure on them going into the bottom of the first, everyone was hitting. So I would say Churchill is thinking once Crucier gets the ball, this team's not beating us. We're going to even the series tomorrow, wipe this one, continue the success with the bats, and then you got a rubber match potentially after that. As this game does not come to a close. That was the third out of the game. It was not. Instead, an infield single for Brennan. So another base hit for her. And she was... Oh, it was dropped. Okay.
I was going to say, she looked like...
Yeah, we couldn't see from the press box. Yeah, we couldn't see that she dropped that. So another error for this Creighton infield. That'll likely be E3. So here we go. Christina Ginex stands at the plate.
Third time's a charm.
For Seton Hall. If you were watching the whole broadcast, you understand what was going on there. He's looking to get on base for a third time today. He's got a triple and a walk. And 2 Ks. That one gets the outside part of the plate. One, 2 is the count. 1 strike away, Creighton, from going away with a double-digit victory. Instead, they'll have to wait a little bit longer. Patchen looking to put the finishing touches on what's been a solid game. Of some of the 4 runs that have scored, not all of them earned. Got 2 errors in this inning. Count is full. It's not baseball, so you can't go before the pitch with 3-2 and 2 outs. Either way, kind of a head start for Brennan is what she's going to have. Ginex fouls that one back.
Thankful for that net again. Had a couple of these probably be long drives right into the window. Credit to the fans that are sticking it out. You haven't really seen a lot of people.
No one
hit the
has
exits.
walked out.
Yeah.
Not one person. That one off the plate. So another walk for Ginex. Instead, DeMarco will look to extend this game. Patchen really hasn't been able to get over the hump and get that third out of the inning. And now you think a teensy bit of anxiety creeping up for this Creighton squad.
Now, I get there's the butterfly effect and everything, but if you erase that 7th spot, it's a 3-run game and DeMarco becomes a tying run at the plate. Or, no, yeah, it should be the tying run at the plate. But then, like you said too, Manny, who knows? Patches probably got a different,
different,
playbook.
But you would think, I don't know, it probably would have been more pressure on the defense. They have no pressure right now, and they've made a few errors. But perhaps Creighton likes to, I don't know, make things dramatic. They play better that way, I guess. Creighton looking to improve to 7-14 on the season if they can get 2 more strikes. They got 1 more, so 1 strike away again from a victory. DeMarco does not want to be the one to give away the final out in this game. See if she can continue her success at the plate. 2-2 is the count. 2 outs. Foul ball. Maybe it'll stay in play, and able to make the play is Lily West, who caught it against the fence, and Creighton finally secures the victory. A blowout today here at South Orange.
Yeah, I think you saw both teams kind of play the game of the flair for the dramatics, especially in that last inning, the 11 runs and what felt like a game that was pretty much over to begin with. But moral of the story, Manny, we covered it before. If you're the Pirates, you bury this one right away. You look to win the series. That's why their 3-game series is. If you're Creighton, you use this as a source of momentum. You know what? Hey, we might be 6-14 following non-con, but this is a team that was in, like you said, in the conference championship last year. And they showed today that they didn't go anywhere.
19 hits, 20 runs for Creighton. We'll be back at 11 o'clock in the a.m. tomorrow. So we'll see you tomorrow here. Thank you for watching this presentation of Seton Hall Pirates softball here in Mike Shepard Senior Field. My name's Manny Pereira. Next to me, Ross Vacaturo. See you soon.